And the supporters here don't demand an awful lot. I don't know if Woody felt that when he was playing, but all as they demand is that everybody gives everything that they've got. And if everybody gives everything they've got, then you're fine. But they don't demand that you win trophies. I mean, there are only 3 trophies you can win, but it seems to me they don't demand that.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I think as long as the fans see and the members see that the players are giving 100% commitment and trying their absolute best, that's all they can ask, really. I think it goes hand in hand with the fact that over recent years Derbyshire have not had that much success, so the fans and the members don't really expect it. All they expect from every player is to give 100% for the badge and to fight as hard as they can, and I think that's what the boys will do tonight against Notts.
Entertainment, the right weather and a chance of victory, that's all everybody wants for their money, isn't it?
Definitely. Like you said, Friday night, great weather, Derbyshire versus Nottinghamshire, T20, full house. Hopefully it'll be an exciting one and Derbyshire can just get over the line.
Well, let's have a word with Ryan Duckett, the Chief Executive of Derbyshire County Cricket Club. Thank you ever so much. I teared you away from basically your hosting duties. Right. This is one of the key nights, isn't it, for the cricket club, because of the crowd, because of the hospitality, and just the weather is so important as well.
No, it's a fantastic night. We've had some an iffy start to summer weather-wise, but we've got a great night tonight, and ticket sales have been fantastic all week, and we're looking forward to a really good game. Just come from our hospitality suites that are packed out as well, and everyone's really looking forward to the match.
So they're packed out. What kind of people are... We're going to have to move, I think, actually. Should we move over towards the square a bit more? Because Derbyshire have just come out to do some fielding practice. Keep your eye on the ball while we're talking. I haven't done a health and safety form for this, so we'll just have to keep our eye on it. What kind of people are coming? What kind of people are in your hospitality tent?
Well, we've got a real wide range of different businesses. You've always got individuals who come as well, but it tends to be, I'd say, probably 80 to 85% of them are businesses from within Derby City who are bringing their clients to entertain them. But, you know, from an audience perspective here, we've got a real diverse and a prominently family audience here within the stands, and we're expecting it to get pretty close to a sellout tonight, I think.
Tom was just telling us about expectation and the fact that the supporters, they want to be entertained, they want some nice weather, and they just want one of those evenings, whether they win or lose. They want to see somebody competing for the badge, and I guess that's right, isn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're obviously really keen for a strong performance, but these are the nights where it's all about. I mean, you can just sense, with the staff here, obviously not going out to the field, but there's a real buzz on match days like this, and you can hear the players warming up as well. And things are, for T20 night, the atmosphere and the buzz goes up, but obviously when it's not, both on the boundary edge from supporters' perspective, but also from the players as well, it goes up a notch. So hopefully we can perform and get a win tonight.
9 years.
Yeah, let's not mention that. We're due a win. I don't know, let's get ourselves, but we've got to due a win. So yeah, fingers crossed. But they're a good side, Notts, as we well know. But our guys are determined to put in a strong performance tonight. So hopefully that's the case.
Fingers crossed. Thanks for coming out to see us, and enjoy it.
Thank you. Likewise.
Ryan Duckett, Derbyshire County Cricket Club Chief Executive. Tom Wood, we're relying on you basically to keep your eye on the ball and protect Dave and I, because you still look like an athlete, whereas Dave and I are. We like watching.
Yeah, well, I'll try my best to keep my eye on it, but these boys are flinging the ball around pretty quickly, so...
I think we should start making it. They're going to have the toss tonight in an unusual position. It's not entirely out of the way, but they're having the toss by the steps in front of the players' pavilion.
James Whittaker?
James Whittaker is the match referee, and they put these little discs down, and it just... I assume, I don't know, I've never asked them, but they do it before every game. It's just to make sure that the pitch is all right and they're happy with it. It looks all right to me. It looks better than the one that Blackrod play on a Saturday afternoon anyway.
Yeah, let's wander over, because I don't want to get anybody hit by a ball. James Whittaker, the match referee, away to our right-hand side. Remember him if you know your cricket, former Leicestershire player, and he's... in charge of this game this evening as we walk past the coaching staff. Alex Hughes has got his baseball mitt on, ready to put the players through their paces. And there's some Darren Smith, former Derbyshire wicketkeeper, is doing the fielding practice at the moment. He's got a baseball mitt in left hand, he's got a bat in the other, and he's hitting the ball on the floor, and it's bouncing, and the players are coming in to do their fielding, getting down long barrier and pinging it over the top of a set of stumps, which is right in the middle of all of them. There's about 4 or 5 cluster of fielders who are doing that, and they have to ping it in, try and hit the stumps, then it goes back to Darren Smith, and it's fielded and chucked out again, and it's really quick. It's really quick, and It's the speed and the technical stuff that everybody expects on a Saturday afternoon when you're playing for, I don't know, Ticknall or Tutbury or whoever you're playing for. And hopefully this weekend for you amateurs out there, you'll get some good weather for the cricket as well. And just coming out of the way of Samit Patel, who's making his way over. The wind is getting up, Dave Fletcher. It seems windier on this part of the ground.
Yeah, it does seem windy here, doesn't it? But it will make a big difference. I don't know why I was surprised, but they were talking about it, as I say, on one of the World Cup games, and players were getting caught on the boundary, even though it was perceived to be the shorter side, because they were hitting into the wind. And I think it was in Dallas. There are bigger things, bigger winds in Dallas, obviously, than they do anywhere else in the world. But this will make a difference. Will make a big difference. So hitting towards the players' pavilion is going to be the preferred option by the feel of the wind howling from behind me.
It looks as though they've stolen your playlist as well, Dave.
What is this?
No idea. It's just a noise. Do you know? You're younger than us. What is it?
No idea what this is. No. There's no words to it, so I don't know.
All right.
Oh, right. It's just pumping house. Sound, isn't it? So we're waiting for the umpires to appear, and we're waiting for the captains to be summoned. We have the match referee behind us as well. Dave Griffin is stood in front of us with his...
And do you know what David Griffin's doing? I can guarantee David Griffin is trying to... No, he's finding out what this song is using a well-known internet-based song, and it is...
Come on then, do you know what it is? What is it?
This is tough, it says. No result. Oh,
I've heard of no result. There's a London bus over there that says bar on the side of it. Fantastic stuff. We like that, don't we? That's and there's a school bus over there that also says bar on the side of it. You're missing the trick, aren't you, with your outlets? You could go and sell burgers or beer or something, get a vintage vehicle, and you're laughing, these events.
I think there's probably more money in that than in doing what we're doing, Ed, if I'm entirely honest with you. But there's plenty of them around. You get a pizza over there, that's nice, and burgers and fries. So, yeah, they cater for a slightly different audience on a Friday night and a Sunday afternoon when they play the T20s than they do from Friday to Monday on...
breaking news, David Griffin is back. What is it?
Oh, it's Punky Funky Space.
Punky Funky Space.
That's what it was. I thought that's what it was. Yeah, I didn't want to say.
Do you know Punky Funky Space?
No, that's not my genre of music, I'm afraid, no.
Good use of the word genre, though.
Yeah,
I
very
thought so.
good.
Blimey, he's highbrow. Where'd you get him from?
Audio darts, Paddy.
Where'd you get him from, highbrow, using the word genre?
Well, it was actually David Griffin who suggested I contacted Woody.
Ah, right, okay.
Because I was thinking, we need a summariser. We need somebody who knows what they're talking about. And I've got some of those. And I said to Griff, have you got anybody else? And he said, what about Woody? He didn't say that.
No, he didn't. So, your career this season, playing for Ticknall, is that what you said? Yeah, Ticknall, how's that going?
Yeah, really good, thank you. I've been at Ticknall for 8 years, and then I left last year, but back at Ticknall this year as captain coach. Looking to get promoted back to the Premier League, and we've got off to a good start so far. We're top of the league. We've got a big double header this weekend, Saturday, Sunday. So hopefully we can get 2 wins again and stay top of the league.
Is that Derbyshire Premier League?
No. So Ticknall actually got relegated last year.
Right.
And I've come back in now as captain coach with the task of getting promoted again.
I got you. You're a bit of a Conor Hourihane then. We'll get him out of that division into that division. So basically, these kind of nights, I mean, what are the players? What's going through the players' minds now, do you think? There's a lot of expectation, I guess, on Derbyshire because, as Dave said earlier, he's put the Harlem Globetrotters together and they have to kind of get to at least out the group, but then finals day.
Yeah, I think the players at the minute, it's a pretty relaxed warm-up for T20 cricket. It's such an intense game. It's short, but it's very intense, very mentally and physically tiring. So warm-ups are really relaxed, really short but sharp, just to get everybody ready to go 100%. And like you said, Mickey has brought in some very experienced players who've won white ball competitions before. Not quite got off to the start that Mickey would have hoped for, or supporters and alike would have hoped for either. But this is a big opportunity tonight against a Nott side which is probably not as strong as it has been in previous years. And this is a big game. If Derbyshire, it's a big difference between going 1-2, lost 2, than lost 3.
Just come with me, because I'm conscious that you've got your back to everything, and you've got somebody smashing the ball to the boundary for catches, and you can't see it. So I don't want to be guilty of putting you at risk there, but you still have to protect me. Right, the toss is happening. Here we go. The umpires are out, and Dave is going to be taking us through that in a moment. 2 umpires have come out as well. Not sure where they're going to be doing this. We're standing just over the rope. And do you recognise the umpires?
Steve O'Shaughnessy and Jack Shantry. Shawnee's one of the best umpires on the circuit, and Jack Shantry obviously recently into his umpiring career, former tall left up, yeah exactly, Worcestershire bowler, just started out his umpiring career not long ago.
It's great to see former players take that step, isn't it? There's quite a few of them that are doing it. I'm doing it now, aren't I? I've got my back to the play. There's quite a few players who you see now who are doing. Alex Wolff was one when he was at Glamorgan, of course, and he played a couple of Test matches for England, and then he all of a sudden was an umpire as well. And I guess, you know, you go back all those years ago, who's the chap from Northampton, Rob Bailey, yes, Rob Bailey was an umpire as well, wasn't he?
Still is.
Still is.
Yeah. Mad as a fish, Rob. Absolutely mad as a fish. Sorry, I was just away there. Important call with the media team at Burton Albion.
Oh, I had that one. I was talking though. Yeah. Is it something we can say now or not?
They were just no. There's a number of things. The only thing we can say now is one of the investors' fathers is coaching Iceland against England tonight because he's the coach of Iceland. But we knew that anyway.
And of course, that's not available anywhere. You need to be listening to BBC Radio Derby. Absolutely. So the toss is about to happen. Dave, would you like to talk us through it?
Love to. Thank you, Ed. Yeah, James Whittaker and Samit Patel just in discussions at the moment. They won't be, well, one of them will be involved in the toss, but not necessarily both of them. And then, of course, we will have to wait to speak to Samit until the in-ground announcer has done his bit with Samit Patel. But we can run you through the team and any changes there might be once the toss has taken place. It's filling up quite nicely now, actually. The grandstand in front of us here, or behind us, depending on which way you're standing, is filling up really nicely. The family stand away to the left-hand side, non-alcoholic. I've never been in there. And then the big permanent temporary stand, which is at the far end of the ground to where we commentate from. It's got a big tarpaulin over which it forms a sight screen, but it looks slightly narrower than normal. I think they've tried to squeeze a few more seats into the permanent temporary stand this season. The dugouts, and we'll go through it all again while we're describing the action later on, but the dugouts are situated to the left of the members' pavilion and to the right of the grandstand, so not too far away from where we're standing at the moment. They're very close as well. You wouldn't get them that close in a game of football because they'd be knocking lumps off each other if the dugouts were that. Anyway, we're nearly ready for the toss. Just a couple of sponsors having pictures. You've just heard who the umpires are there. Steve O'Shaughnessy, the former Lancashire player, and Jack Shantry, who, of course, for many years played for Worcestershire. Ball off the wrong foot. Awkward to face, I imagine. It looked to me, Tom, as though he was about to bowl, then he didn't bowl, then all of a sudden he bowled. Yeah,
people, with him being tall as well, it makes it even worse. Left arm is always tricky, and like you said, bowls off the wrong foot, so it's a little bit difficult to face. Takes a while to get used to the action, so people with unusual actions can tend to be quite tricky.
Thoroughly nice bloke, though. We first came across him as an umpire at Shropshire, I think it was, in the national, whatever it's called, showcase game, I think they're called now, but it's a load of old nonsense. Joe Clark is the Nottinghamshire, or Notts Outlaws. I think they're called Notts Outlaws in this competition. They are the Notts Outlaws. He's the Notts Outlaws captain. That's what I'm trying to say. They're just swapping teams now once they can work out who needs the pink slip, who needs the yellow slip, and who keeps the white one. So they have now swapped teams, and Joe Clark's having a look down. He doesn't look too startled. Samit looks less startled than Joe, so that's good. We'll just wait and see what happens with the toss. It's very much a movable feast. People think that the toss has to take place half an hour before the game, but it doesn't. There's nothing in the regulations that says when the toss has to take place.
I thought it was about to happen, that's why I gave it to you.
I just thought you wanted a rest.
No.
My voice is now better than it was at the weekend, so I should be all right for the entirety of the competition this evening. This always amuses me as well. So Jack Shantry is currently going through the rules and regulations with the players as if they don't know what the rules and regulations are, but I suppose it's just one of those, if you don't bowl your overs in a certain time, you have to have a player inside the circle, an extra player inside the circle. It happened to Northamptonshire a couple of, well, last week, wasn't it? Last Thursday, blimey. it seems like yesterday. Derbyshire already played 3 matches, won 1 of course. Nottinghamshire have played 3 and lost all 3, and lost quite heavily at home to Worcestershire last night, earlier in the season. They also lost for the first time at Trent Bridge against Northamptonshire, so their form is frighteningly iffy at the moment. Where's the toss? You can say there's the toss as many times as you like, but the coin is now in the air. It goes up, and I'm going to try and hear. It looks to me as though Nottinghamshire have won the toss and will have a bowl, I think. But I'm not entirely certain, Ed. Is that what was said?
I'm pretty sure that's what was said.
Yeah. So Samet is going to have a word with the in-stadium. So I was going to listen to what Samet was saying there. I shouldn't really be doing that. I should be talking more than that, if I'm entirely honest with you. And we will speak to the Derbyshire Falcons skipper, Samet Patel, as soon as he's finished speaking to the stadium announcer, who I'm trying to talk over, so you don't hear the answers that Samet's going to give me in about 30 seconds' time, because that's what'll happen. Samet, what do you make of the toss? I wasn't too fussed whether they batted or bowled, to be honest. You made a few changes. Yes, we've got, well, I'll go give you the team, can't I? No Harry Kane, no Lewis Rees, no Anuj Dowell. Lloyd and Donald look set to open the batting. Cam Fletcher making his debut. Wayne Madson's back. Samet, of course. Ross Whiteley, Brooke Guest, Mitch Wagstaff, Zach Chappell, Darren Dupavillon, and Pat Brown. So that's the 11. We'll run you through that again a little bit later on, of course, before we get underway, and then we'll give you the Notts Outlaws side as well. So I'm going to ambush Samet and pretty much ask Samet the exact same questions. The toss, I just heard you say you weren't too fussed. Is that fair?
Yeah, no, I wasn't too fussed. Notts have not chased well in the last couple of games, so yeah, we'll put some pressure on them. Runs on the board, hopefully we'll put some pressure on.
And rather than saying it out loud on the public addresses, so what's it going to be like for you? It's going to be weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been a little bit weird. Prep time and seeing all the boys and being over this side of the ground. Yeah, it's been a little bit weird, but hey, we're here to do a job. In 3 hours' time, we can hopefully have a beer and with a W on the board.
We'll get to see an Aaron Donald for the first time this season after he recovered from his concussion. Cam Fletcher and Wayne Madsen into the side. That looks a strong batting lineup.
Yeah, look, we've got some strong players, some hopefully some crucial players that batting at the right time, and hopefully we can put on a good show. Like I said, we want as many behind us tonight as possible. We've come here in the past and we felt that we probably got more than Derby, but hopefully it turns out tonight and we put on a good show.
2015 Samet, the last time it happened. Make it happen. Thanks.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Samet Patel, 2015.
It's a long time ago. So Derbyshire batting first, then Tom Wood. It's the game they won, batting first. Do you think that matters, or is it home ground and defending? You keep it tight, you're in the box seat.
Yeah, I don't think it matters too much, to be honest. It's a brand new pitch, so it's not going to deteriorate much. It's generally a very good wicket here in white ball cricket at Derby. So yeah, it's a good opportunity for Derbyshire to go out, bat first, put pressure on, get runs on the board, and then put Nottinghamshire under pressure in the second innings.
And Dave, how much do you think Samet Patel did not tell you then about facing Nottinghamshire after the way he departed and the new lease of life he has here?
I think he simply cannot wait for this. He cannot wait for this. He, as I said earlier, he'll have circled this one in the calendar the moment the fixtures came out. He wants to beat Nottinghamshire to show them that perhaps they made a mistake. Perhaps they should have kept him. Perhaps they shouldn't have swept aside the entire team when they did. And look what's happened to them. He was very pointedly said, well, of course, they haven't chased well so far this season. They haven't won yet this season. He knows that this is a real opportunity for Derbyshire.
And Tom, making such wholesale changes and removing so many of your, well, losing so many of your experienced players at this format of the game, that is dangerous, isn't it?
It is, and especially if you don't quite get off to the start you want to get off to. Notts have obviously lost a lot of experience over the last this season compared to previous seasons, which is all well and good when everyone's playing well and you're winning games of cricket and morale's high. But when you get into a little bit of a rut, you lose a few games, that's when you need your experienced players to drag it back. Whereas it can be difficult for young players when they get on a little bit of a losing streak. So that's a massive loss for Nottinghamshire, not quite having that core of Samet Patel and Mulaney and Jake Ball and those guys who have been around for such a long time and have been so dominant in white ball T20 cricket especially. So that's a massive loss for Nottinghamshire.
How important is it to get off to a good start?
I think that's vitally important, especially T20 cricket. It is so short, there's not that much time to be able to drag it back. We all know how important the power play is, and Derbyshire have made some changes in the top 3, top 4, obviously with Wayne coming back, Cam Fletcher in for his debut, and an Aaron Donald coming in after his concussion. So yeah, change at the top, and they'll be looking to make most of the power play, that is for sure.
And you mentioned Wayne Madsen and the fact that he scored those runs, and Samit got a good knock as well in the game that they won, but the fact that he'd hurt himself and then he's been a little bit unwell and he missed that game at Lancashire, he was kind of a cog that really needed to be at Old Trafford.
Absolutely. Wayne is vital to this Derbyshire batting lineup, regardless of what format it is, what venue you're playing at, but especially at Old Trafford in the spinning conditions where it's slow, it's turgid, it's spinning. His experience and his skill set against the spinners and the shots that he has, the areas that he can access on the ground, was massively important and a big loss at Old Trafford. And any time someone as good as Wayne comes back into the team, it's always going to be a massive advantage.
This will be the first game in which Derbyshire have played both overseas, or 2 overseas, because Darren Dupapillon played his first game at Old Trafford, replacing Blair Tickney, who obviously now is flying home because the illness to his wife Sarah. It's the first game that an Aaron Donald has played. He was always going to be a major part of this T20 side. I mean, we're building these players up, and I can feel what's going to happen. But an Aaron Donald, if he comes off at the start, and David Lloyd also comes off, we've already seen a couple of good knocks from David Lloyd, it could be spectacular. It really could be spectacular, and I'm hoping that it is.
You really are, aren't you?
I am. Honestly, I'm getting sick of it. In that Tide game, you said to me, they've got this.
I know.
And I told you to be quiet.
Yeah.
Because I knew that they hadn't.
That was bonkers, though. The ending to that game.
It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous, yeah. And you'd never see another ending to a game like that in a million years, probably. But I don't want it even to be close. I'd like a nice, comfortable win.
Stuffing.
Yeah, stuffing will be nice.
How important is it also, Tom Wood, to just sort of jump on the fact that perhaps, losing your first 3 games as Notts have, jumping on that and giving them doubt straight from the off, the fact that, oh no, it's another one of those games where we're going to have to really dig deep, but we're not actually that confident.
Yeah, I think it can definitely help. When you're on a losing streak, you've lost the first 3 games, you don't want to be under the cosh straight away. You want to be able to try and settle into the game and get off to a good start. So I think it is important that Derbyshire almost keep the foot on the throat right from the get-go and don't give them a second to settle into the game. And almost when you've got a team down, low on confidence, it's important to try and keep them down and not give them a sniff, really.
So how long have we got now? It is, 20 minutes to the start. Now, just to mark your card, if you're listening on FM and you want to listen to the cricket at 7 o'clock, you're going to have to switch to DAB, medium wave, or the BBC Sport website and app to follow this match. On FM, at 7 o'clock, you will have the BBC Local Radio General Election Debate. That's between 7 and 10 this evening on FM only. If that is your bag, we give you a pass. You can go and do that. That's fine. Absolutely fine. It's an important few weeks. But if you want to stay with the cricket, do so on DAB, on medium wave, and on the BBC Sport website and app. The crowd is still filtering in, as it were. Lots of people standing, as Dave said earlier. This ground it's always got more people in it for these kind of occasions than it has seats. And it's a great atmosphere, as long as you keep your eye on the ball. Because I remember when T20 first started, they used to give crash helmets out for people in the crowd, so that if the big sixes came and it hit you on the head, you'd be all right. Do you remember that, Dave? When it first came in?
Absolutely, and you still get some people, don't you, going to T20 with the amusing helmets on and things like that. But yeah, they did do it. It is a danger. It's less of a danger here at Derby because the outfield is so big, and we'll talk about the ropes. It's 65 metres from the middle everywhere today. It's a pretty much a circle. But if you go to Chesterfield, you go to some of the smaller grounds, you are in trouble. You have to watch that ball at all times, because if you don't, you're going to get hit.
You had your finest hour, or one of them, at Chesterfield, didn't you, a few years ago? Really late on. That was against Yorkshire, wasn't it? That 6 off the last ball or something like that?
Yeah. We've had balls coming into the commentary position at Chesterfield. You've just got to keep your wits about you, and be agile.
I would expect nothing less from you, Mr. Fletcher. Great to say that Neil Godrich is with us, the Derbyshire County Cricket Club groundsman. Good evening.
Ed, you right?
I'm very well, thanks. Yeah, this is what it's all about, isn't it?
Yes, sun's out, isn't it? All them distant memories and them rainy days now have all gone out, haven't they? So flat, sun's out and it's good to stop out, isn't it? So that's all good.
Not a super sopper in sight, which must be so relieving for you.
Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it? It's good for the fans as well. You always want a full game, don't you? So you always want to turn up knowing that there's going to be a game, so it's great for the fans.
And just for people who are tuning in for the first time this evening, potentially listening to this, it's been tough for you at the start of this season with the wet, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been tough all around the country, really. It's been that wet as like spring, really. Last winter was terrible as well, so we've not had a chance to dry out. Slowly we're getting there now. We're drying out, and like I say, the outfield looks superb now, so it's really good.
And what about the track tonight?
Yeah, quick and bouncy, hopefully quite a small boundary, so hopefully plenty of runs, so hopefully it'll be a decent game, high scoring.
It's about time Derbyshire turned knots over, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. I mean, I've been here for 31 years now, so the amount of times I've seen them not turn them over, so it'd be nice to get one over and wouldn't it?
It was actually my fault, according to Dave, that game was tied a couple of years ago, because I said apparently just as Derbyshire were about to win it, they've got this, Dave, it's fine. And Dave went, shut up. And then they tied. Go well tonight.
I do. Cheers.
Cheers. Neil Godrich, the Derbyshire County Cricket Club groundsman, here as we make our way. Ooh, can you smell that? I was going to say we're going to make our way to the commentary box, but we might just veer off to that place over there.
Professionalism, Ed, professionalism.
Burgers and fries, Dave. Come on. Burgers and
After all
fries.
those sandwiches you had before.
Yeah, but they were good. I tell you, professionalism. I'm away from the beer, the bar. You know, so that's where it lasts.
Yeah.
That's where it stops. Looking at the knots, for me, Dave, knots always look very, very serious. Very serious.
Well, yes. I mean, they're unfortunately, or fortunately, are a very, very big club, and quarterfinals are something that is expected of Nottinghamshire. It will be it will be nice for Derbyshire to get there, but if Notts don't get to knockout stages of T20 Blast, it's been a complete failure. The 4 teams that should always get there are Warwickshire, Lancashire, Yorkshire and Nottinghamshire. Then the other 4 are scrapping away, hoping that one slips up or you can get a really good result against somebody and get into that top 4 and therefore get yourself into the quarterfinals. Which is why they will be serious. They're under a certain amount of pressure. Derbyshire, yeah, they've won 1 out of 3, but I don't think they're necessarily under pressure. They might be tonight if they don't win this one. Notts played 3, lost 3. That's a huge amount of pressure for them. Derbyshire started a campaign 2 or 3 seasons ago, losing the first 4 matches before they went down to Northampton, and Callum MacLeod scored a century. They then won 4 in a row, but having lost those first 4, they were never able to claw their way back into the top 4. No matter how good they finished the campaign, those first 4 defeats of the season absolutely did for them.
Well, we'll see how that goes on this evening. Now, one man back in the side, or making his first appearance in the side this evening, is an Aaron Donald, who joined Derbyshire in the winter. And he's in the side after missing the first 3 matches due to concussion. Despite not playing so far, he has been round the squad. So Jack Timon asked him what the mood was like, given the Falcons had won 1 and lost 2.
Stop it! How are you, mate? I'm good, yeah, how are you? Good, thank you. Good stuff. Still, my missus wanted the
It's warm up here, isn't it? Yeah.
FM. So you can tune into that if that is what takes your fancy. Here it is Derbyshire Falcons against the Notts Outlaws, who are going to enter the fray very, very shortly, as they have some all-stars cricketers from Swanwick Hall Cricket Club making a column, a guard of honour, shall we say, in front of the pavilion away to our left-hand side. The teams will be out in a moment, and we are ready to go. It's 10-7. Because as we mentioned to, we mentioned earlier to Ryan Duckett and to Dave, and the weather's not been great on these Fridays. It's been really cold in the last few years. So, Tom Wood, it's nice to have the temperatures, and the people will come out with the temperatures.
Absolutely, it makes it such a better experience for everybody when it's nice and warm. It's not cold. People can come out, enjoy the evening, have a drink, and not be sat in the stands freezing.
The great thing about that pavilion away to our left-hand side is that it is in the sunshine, and I know that's an ECB directive for teams, club sides, that they have to have the pavilion built, or a new pavilion built, in the sunshine.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure when I was on the committee of my cricket club many moons ago that was part of the plans, that it had to be. But
well, I can bore you with the story then of the fact that the pitch was turned in 2009, something like that, because it used to go from left to right as we look, instead of from near us to away from us, and play was stopped because of the sun dipping, because they removed all the tall trees.
That's it.
And they suddenly realised why the tall trees were there in the first place. And then, of course, they tried all sorts of contraptions. They had a crane with a large metal sheet on it trying to block out the sun.
That's like Mr. Burns.
Once. Yeah, it sort of worked, but not really. And the reason it was turned in the first place was because the only seats on the ground used to be on the old grandstand.
Yeah.
And the members who sat there said, well, we want to watch the cricket from a bowler's perspective, so they turned the square and then had to turn it back again.
Can you believe that the clout that members have in cricket? It's amazing, absolutely amazing that they would spend all that money on moving the ground around because of it. But I do actually remember commentating in a kind of a tent down away to our right-hand side when the pitch was the other way round, and the chap Stefan bowler, played for Derbyshire. Stefan Jones, bowler.
Yep.
I remember him. I think he nearly took a hat-trick, and he was running in from like right in front of me, running in for ages it seemed. And then, I mean, it's a very long time ago, and somebody else got 100 opening the batting for Steve Stubbins. He got 100.
Stubbo.
That's it.
Great man.
Yeah, excellent.
My memory has not gone just yet, Dave.
Very good. Mine has.
Well, this is Derbyshire, and they're going to bat, and the Falcons are just getting ready to follow out the Nottinghamshire team, who are standing just shy of Swanwick Hall Cricket Club juniors, who are waving their flags away to our left-hand side. We're waiting for the umpires, of course, to make their way onto the field because they need to do that before anybody else, of course. And we have a couple of people just sat on seats just shy of the boundary, just in case anybody gets too crazy and decides to run onto the field naked, but not this early in the proceedings, I'm sure.
Well, it's not the weather for it, really, is it?
No.
I don't know.
It's warm, but it's not quite that warm.
No, it wouldn't do anybody any favours.
Here we go then. The umpires are coming out, and gents, take it away.
Thank you, Ed. Just a reminder, if you are listening on FM, I will flag it up when we get to the vital moment. You'll need to be on AM, DAB, or listening via the BBC Sport website and app, because the BBC election debate gets underway, or coverage of it, at 7 o'clock on BBC local radio across the country. The two openers for Derbyshire, and I don't think I expected to say this at the start of the season, certainly, are Nyron Donald and David Lloyd. Nyron Donald and David Lloyd are going to open the batting for Derbyshire. Is that a surprise to you, Buddy?
I think it is a little bit, yeah. I think Nyron generally has batted in the middle order throughout his career. I think Lloydie has always been top three when it comes to any format, really. But Nyron's a very exciting cricketer. He's very aggressive. I expect him to be ultra aggressive in this power play. He's got all the shots and he's very inventive as well. So I'd expect him to try and put the Nottinghamshire bowlers under pressure, and Lloydie will look to do the same thing. Maybe not quite as innovative. He's a short man in stature. He'll look to sit deep in his crease and cut and pull. But hopefully, it'll be a good start for Derbyshire in this power play with a new opening pair.
The first over from the racecourse then will be bowled by New Zealander Ben Lister. David Lloyd will be on strike. I'll just run you through the Nottinghamshire Outlaws side. Alex Hales and Joe Clark will open up for them a little bit later on. Jack Haynes, Will Young, the Kiwi, Matt Montgomery, Tom Moores, the wicketkeeper, Lyndon James, Calvin Harrison, Ollie Stone, Dylan Pennington and Ben Lister, who will bowl the first ball once the umpires are happy. That's Steve O'Shaughnessy and Jack Shantry. Jack Shantry standing at the racecourse end, so therefore Steve O'Shaughnessy's at square leg at the moment. 65-metre boundaries all the way around, wherever they can. I think straight might be slightly shorter, but they're not all the way to the fence even straight, so a deliberate policy. We're going to get the first couple of deliveries on all frequencies and then we'll part ways. We might not even get two deliveries if they don't get underway fairly shortly, but here we go then. Lister.
I think it's interesting Lister's chose to come from the racecourse end with the wind going from our right to left, which would generally be the opposite way that he is looking to swing the ball back into the right-handers. But here he comes in for the first ball.
To David Lloyd, who tries to pull it from outside off stump, and it's taken low down by Tom Moores. Right then, you now have a decision to make. If you want to continue to listen to Derbyshire Falcons taking on the Notts Outlaws, you need to be on AM, DAB and online via the BBC Sport website and app, because over on FM we're now going across to the news, followed by the BBC election debate. They've gone. Here's Lister on his way in to bowl to David Lloyd, who turns this nicely into the leg side. Might be two here if they can scamper back. There will be two comfortably, actually, out towards the mid-wicket boundary, picked up by Matt Montgomery away to our right-hand side, so Derbyshire underway with a couple.
Yeah, it did look like there was a little bit of swing there for Lister, even though the wind is going the opposite way. And it will also mean that Derbyshire's right-handed batsmen, which there are plenty of, will be hitting with the wind for the last over. Teams generally try and bowl the last over to the long side or into the wind, so that's an interesting tactic from Nottinghamshire.
Lister delivers the next one, and it's guided off an edge down towards third man by David Lloyd down there at third man. Calvin Harrison, will see him bowl a little bit later on as well. As Ed said, the floodlights are on. It always a bit incongruous when you start the game in glorious sunshine with the floodlights on, but it's all to do with the regulations. It's a night match, and it doesn't matter how light it is or how dark it is, you've got to have the floodlights on. Not that these floodlights make a huge amount of difference. In all honesty, they're one of the oldest sets of floodlights on the circuit. One or two bulbs are missing as well. As Lister in over the wicket bowls to Nyron Donald, who might get caught here. He is going to get caught out in the deep, and there he goes. First ball that he faces, and Nyron Donald has gone caught in the deep by Matt Montgomery. out at mid-wicket, and that is not the start that Derbyshire were wanting. And what was he doing there, Tom Wood? He was hitting into the wind.
Absolutely, that is definitely not the start Derbyshire would have wanted. We spoke about an Iron being ultra aggressive and he was going to come out and attack the power play, and that's exactly what he's tried to do, but he's not really given himself a chance there, trying to go first ball into the wind, as you said, Fletch, and comfortably caught out probably 10-15 yards in from the boundary.
It was a long way in, wasn't it? A long way in from the boundary. It might be shorter than normal, but an Aaron Donald slopes off back to the changing rooms. And a first sight, I believe, of Cam Fletcher with 28 on his back. New Zealander whose signing was announced yesterday, here in place of Blair Tickner, of course, fellow Kiwi who's on his way back home for family reasons. And what you don't want to do is give Notts Outlaws any encouragement. That's giving them a whole heap of encouragement.
Yeah, it's something we spoke about in the pre-match, wasn't it? Obviously, Notts have lost 3 games on the bounce, and it's important to try and get off to a good start and keep them on the back foot almost, and they've done the complete opposite, and they've got off to a great start here.
Lister balls to Fletcher, who's almost caught first ball by Tom Moores. He just prodded at that one outside the off stump. Bit of bounce as well from the pitch. Might have done for him there. So David Lloyd has a quick chat with him. Yeah, it's not like New Zealand, mate.
Boundary's a little bit bigger than in New Zealand, buddy.
I'm sure David Lloyd's got plenty of advice for Cam Fletcher, should he require any. And no, he's no relation. In comes Lister again then. Racecourse then, bowls to Fletcher, who's beaten again outside the off stump. Fellow Kiwi to Kiwi. The first over comes to an end, and that is definitely advantage Notts after that one. 3 for 1 at the end of the first over, with an Aaron Donald perishing first ball that he faced.
Yeah, not much shape there from Lister. Back into the right-handers, them two to Fletcher just looked to be pushed across him. And the pitch, first assessments after the first over, it looks a little bit slow on the low side. Both them 2 balls that Fletcher played and missed have come through to Tom Moores, the keeper, around knee to waist height, which shows there's not really as much pace and bounce in the pitch. It does look a little bit dry. So it'll be interesting to see if it does have any spin as the game goes on.
Yes. Coming with pace again, Dylan Pennington, who they signed from Worcestershire last winter, is going to bowl his first over from the City end, bowling to David Lloyd, who lifts this one into the leg side. There is no real protection out there at a straightish mid-wicket. There is a fielder out there, though, and they're going to keep... he's going to peg them down to 2 runs. And Lloyd moves on to 5, Derbyshire of 5 for 1. There is plenty of other action going on tonight. I'll keep you abreast of it, as best we can. I'll have a roundup later on as well, I'm sure. But Canada have beaten Ireland at the World Cup by 12 runs. Canada 137 for 7. And then Ireland restricted to 125 for 7. That game taking place on that dreadful pitch in New York. Here is Pennington in, and that's a swing and a miss from David Lloyd. Ball goes through to Tom Moores.
Pennington, one of many players signed by Notts from Worcestershire this season.
Most of them, yes. They called in at New Road with a shopping list and left with all their best players. And then
best young, promising players as well.
Last night, Worcestershire went to Trent Bridge and beat them.
That must have been very satisfying.
I can imagine it was. For the 2nd year in a row. Here comes Pennington again. Bowls to Lloyd, who's playing and missing at that one. He was on the walk. I don't like this anymore, Tom. I was having a really good time in that first hour and 4 minutes, but I don't like it anymore.
It was really good until the game started going, wasn't it? We was all talking up Derbyshire's chances today and all the superstar white ball players that they've brought in, and how Notts have not got off to the best start. And the shoe seems to have been on the other foot now. Notts have got off to a great start.
We knew it was going to happen, though. 5 for 1. Lloyd on 5. Waits as Pennington bowls to him, and he has a swing and a miss at that one as well. He's determined to smash this ball out of the ground. And so far, he's got a couple of 2s and a 1, and that's been it. He hasn't been able to make proper contact with the small white round thing. I'm sure 1 or 2 players are reminding him out there what he should be trying to do with it. But he will continue to play like this, David Lloyd. It's been his... the way he's played batting at number 3 in the first 3 matches of the campaign so far. He waits now. Pennington bowls to him, and again, this one really bounces on him. It actually goes past the shoulder of the bat, doesn't it, rather than past the edge of the bat and through to Tom Moores.
Absolutely. Lloyd's looking down at the pitch there with a little bit of surprise and just indicated that bounced quite a lot. The pitch seems to be a little bit too paced. We've seen a few that have just died through to the keeper, and then a couple there that have looked to just bounce through. It might be a little bit tricky for the batters to stand and strike the ball with the inconsistent bounce and the too paceness of the pitch.
They've lost one of the slips. Joe Clark's gone into mid-wicket. Lyndon James is a sort of short third man, and he does get bat on ball this time, David Lloyd. He sets off for a single and hurries back as Pennington gets to the ball pretty sharpish. Just 2 runs off that over. 5 for 1 after 2 overs. It's not how a power play is supposed to go, but so far the Notts bowlers have been firmly on top, and we're going to see Ollie Stone. It's getting easier for Derbyshire because Ollie Stone has removed his sweater. Oh dear.
Another England international. But I think that the good thing for Cam Fletcher is coming in as a new signing overseas. At least he's into the action early on, and he's got a lot of time now throughout the rest of this innings to really get himself in and make a big impact on this innings for Derbyshire, which is exactly what Derbyshire will need from him. It's what you want from your overseas players. And it's especially what the balance of this side needs. I think the last few games, the first 3 games, have been missing an extra batter at the top, and hopefully Cam Fletcher can put in a few big performances.
As he slaps that one up at the bottom edge of his bat down towards third man and gets off the mark in the Derbyshire shirt. 6 for 1 now. Derbyshire is more used, I think, to batting slightly lower down, and the fact that he came in the first over won't have done him any good in that respect, but as you say, it gets him out there into the middle, into the thick of the action. He had a pretty good season in the Super Smash as well last season, so or last winter, our winter. So he's very much in T20 mode. As Stone bowls to Lloyd, has a swing and a miss.
That's really bounced as well.
Hasn't it just, blimey.
It's really bounced.
I wish they'd make 4-day pitches like this. It'd be far more interesting. This ball is flying through here. We haven't seen too much of that over the past few years in red ball cricket here at the County Ground. This is the first game, of course, this season in the Blast being played here at the County Ground. Technically the second home game, having beaten Leicestershire at Birmingham last Saturday during Blast Off. As Lloyd waits, there is a slip in place, and this next delivery is heaved into the leg side. That's a huge 6 out towards the marquee away to our right-hand side. David Lloyd was determined to connect with one of them, and he finally does, and he picks up 6 runs, and Derbyshire move on to 12. It's not a maximum. Over to you, Woody.
It is a maximum 6. That's exactly what Lloydie wants as well. He wants to sit back, and he wants to cut, and he wants to pull. He missed out on the one before, short and wide, just because it had a little bit of extra bounce, but he didn't miss out on that one as he smashed that over wide mid wicket for 6.
He waits now, and this next delivery is defended. Good delivery from Ollie Stone, good reply from the England man. I'm always a little bit perturbed about maximum, because if it's a no ball and you hit it for 6, you get 8, don't you?
That is very true, yeah.
That's my argument. It's a bit petty, but as you get to know me...
The maximum the batter can hit it for, shall we say? Certainly
the maximum the batter can hit it for, absolutely right. Nottinghamshire, they won the toss, decided to have a bowl first. Derbyshire 12 for 1, we're in the 3rd over, and Lloyd toe ends that one. He was aiming out towards mid-wicket, and it's gone to Alex Hales at mid-off.
Yeah, he was looking for that pull again. He's trying to replicate that pull shot for 6, and it is a big strength of his. He was just on it a little bit too quick. I think he needs a little bit of chalk there for the end of his bat as he Q-ended that one.
It was quite alarming, and it went quite quickly to Alex Hales as well. He's standing a couple of 3 yards inside the 30-yard circle, bouncing around on his toes as this next delivery is driven gloriously for 4 runs by David Lloyd out towards extra cover. That's a beautiful shot. And now we can all settle down. 16 for 1 as David Lloyd himself signals 4 on the big screen. Lloyd has moved on to 15. Fletcher has 1 after 3. 16 for 1, 11 off the over. That's a bit more like it.
Definitely. I think, as we see in the pitch, is a little bit too paced, which can make it hard against the new ball. Managed to, after a bit of a slow start, managed to get back into a decent position after 3 overs. It'll be interesting to see how these next 3 go. I think we need to try and press on here and get off to a good start in this power play.
Dylan Pennington's going to bowl the next over from the City end as he bowled over number 2. When you skip a T20 matches, do you let bowlers bowl successive overs from one end? A lot of captains don't like that, do they? Here is Pennington in and bowls. That is driven for 4 runs by Cam Fletcher. His first boundary for Derbyshire. Under the covers it goes. He will feel a lot better. Blimey, they've done that video very quickly. He's just signalled his own for Derbyshire 20 for 1. You know, letting the batsman say, right, well, we know what he's going to do from that end. We've already seen it once. Quite often they just like to mix it up, don't they?
Yeah, they do. It's like you said, Fletcher. Captains don't want batsmen to be able to settle against specific bowlers, especially in the power play. But I think it's important to be adaptable, and Pennington bowled a brilliant over the last over, so they've quite rightly given him another one here.
And he bowls and beats with a bit of extra bounce Cam Fletcher outside the off stump. He went for a similar looking shot, more of an uppercut this time. There isn't any protection on the offside boundaries. There a third man? There is, down below us to our right. There's a man out on the square leg mid-wicket boundary as well. There, the 2 fielders outside the circle. As Joe Clark just has a word with his bowler from long range, asking if he wants him to move, and he says, yeah, go into mid-wicket. So we're back to the field that we had at the end of the previous Pennington over. He's conceded just the 6 runs so far. Derbyshire 20 for 1. Pennington bowls and Fletcher drives for 4 more. That's another really nice shot, right up on his toes at the top of the bounce, playing it away square on the offside. There was absolutely no chance for Jack Haynes to get there. In fact, it looked like he was running through sand, and Derbyshire moved to 24 for 1.
Yeah, that's a lovely shot from Fletcher through cover point there. As you said, he stood up on his toes and just played that with a straight bat, used the pace, little bit of width from Dylan Pennington. And that's one thing you can't afford to bowl in a power play with only 2 men out the circle. You can't afford to bowl width. That's exactly what the batters are looking for.
3 of the games in the Northern Group. Lancashire currently 112 for 2 against Birmingham at Old Trafford. Leicestershire 88 for 4 against Durham at Grace Road. They're in the 12th over there. They're in the 11th over at Old Trafford. And Northamptonshire, a 7 o'clock start like we are. In the 3rd over, the 17 without loss against Worcestershire. Northamptonshire chose to bat at Wantage Road. Derbyshire 24 for 1. Fletcher 9, Lloyd 15. And Aaron Donald out to the first ball that he faced. And now Fletcher waits as Pennington is in and bowls to him. And he just guides that down towards third man, and an awkward bounce there for, I think it's Lyndon James, is it?
Montgomery.
No, it's Montgomery, I beg his pardon. That was a very awkward bounce. He sort of slid to stop it, and it just hit something, and now Tom Moores is making the point that it's hit something which it clearly had, and Fletcher picks up another boundary, moves to 13, which is 28 for 1. That's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah, you'd never like to see that as a fielder. It's quite scary when you go down to field a ball and it rears up so suddenly. You just start to worry about your teeth. But
there is Pennington. 2 balls of his over left, and that one is played off the back foot, pushing it out into the offside square. They're only going to pick up a single on this occasion as Will Young comes in to complete the trio of Kiwis out there. First time we've mentioned Will Young. 3 New Zealanders, 1 South African in Darren Dupavilon playing in this match this evening. Of course, a lot of the top stars in world T20 cricket are either in the United States or the West Indies playing in the World Cup at the moment. So a very different looking T20 Blast as this next delivery from Pennington just gets Lloyd tied up a little bit. He plays an inside edge into his pads. The over comes to an end, but another decent enough over for Derbyshire. 13 off that one. 29 for 1 after 4.
yeah, that's a great over for Derbyshire. Really gets them back on track in this power play. 29 for 1 off 4, 2 overs left of the power play. They'll be looking to try and push on now and get up towards 50 for 1. I think that would be a good start.
There's 3 games in the Southern Group as well. Gloucestershire 66 for 5 after 11 overs against Hampshire at Bristol. That doesn't sound like a Bristol pitch to me. Somerset 122 for 2 against Kent at Canterbury, and Glamorgan 14 for 1 against Essex in Chelmsford. Here's Ben Lister from the racecourse end, and that one is an attempt to pull it round the corner by Fletcher. It actually hits him high up on the thigh pad and bounces through to the wicket keeper. Didn't make the contact he was looking for there. So a big evening of T20 Blast cricket. We're back on Sunday when Derbyshire take on Yorkshire. It's a 3 o'clock start as part of a double header at Headingley. So we'll be on air from 2 o'clock on AM, on DAB and online via the BBC Sport website. Lister bowls, strikes the pad, but going down leg side. Lloyd set off. There could be problems here. If he hits, my word, Fletcher had given up. He misses, goes through for a leg by. An apology is required, I think, from somebody. And Derbyshire moved to 30 for 1. I mean, he was about 10 yards out there. Yeah,
that's a little apology from David Lloyd there. He probably got that one a little bit wrong. As you said, Fletcher he'd given up on that. He was miles out with a hit. A little bit of a miscommunication, which is understandable. Two batsmen who have never played before, never batted together before.
And they met this week.
Well, exactly.
He probably knows more about Ben Lister than he does about David Lloyd. Cameron Fletcher, being a fellow Kiwi. Here comes Lister again. Over the wicket, left arm, down the leg side, wide. Signalled by umpire Chantry, who signals it first facing the permanent temporary stand, which is pretty much chock-a-block now, it's fair to say, and then turns around to show the scorers who are in the box away to our right-hand side. There is barely a seat to be had, which is excellent to see. Members on the balcony of the members' pavilion on the far side as well, shedding their eyes from the setting sun as Lister goes in and bowls. And this one is lifted for 6. I mean, it was lifted, no more than that. He's barely touched it, David Lloyd. He picks up his second 6. He moves on to 21. And Derbyshire are up to 37 for 1. He did, am I right? He barely hit that.
That's an outstanding shot. Yeah, it's an on drive. He's just checked an on drive wide of mid-on for 6. That is an outstanding cricket shot.
What will he do to the next delivery? 37 for 1. Lister bowls. It's short and slow and pulled around the corner down towards deep backward square leg when it's fielded by Matt Montgomery. They only get a single for that. Lloyd practices the shot, but I think it was the same shot that he played in the first place. Just a slower delivery. I'm starting to work it out now. I'm taking your job. You were the one spotting the slower balls and the off spinners and the leg spinners. I'm getting there.
I was just getting you under my wing, Fletch. Showing you the ropes.
Somebody needs to. 38 for 1. Lister bowls. It's pulled off the inside edge down to fine leg by Cam Fletcher for 4. He moves to 18 as Derbyshire move to 41 for 1, 42 for 1, I beg your pardon, with 1 ball of the 5th over still to come. So 7 deliveries of power play remain here at the county ground. Derbyshire against Notts in the T20 Blast on BBC Radio Derby, DAB, AM and online. Here is the final ball. I have to keep thinking about that. Here is the final ball of the over from Lister, and that one's coming off a pad. There is a man down at short, fine leg. And as a result, they go through for 1 leg by. But 43 for 1 at the end of 5. 14 runs off that over. The overs are becoming more and more expensive from a Nottinghamshire point of view. 11, 13 and 14 in the last 3. 43 for 1. That 50-55 is still very much on the cards.
Yeah, it is. And that would be an outstanding start, especially after the first couple of overs, going for many and losing a wicket. As you said, Fletch, the last few overs have been brilliant for Derbyshire. Not quite as aesthetically pleasing, that boundary from Fletcher, as David Lloyd's check drive over mid-on, but they all count, especially in the power play. You're just desperate to try and get off to as good a start as possible and get as many runs on the board in the first 6. I always find it interesting watching the 6th over of a power play to see just how hard players are going to go to. Everybody knows you've got to try and make the most of the first 6 overs with the fielding restrictions, and it's always interesting to see how hard people attack it.
Stone begins the final over of the power play. That's a fine stop, diving away to his left-hand side by Ben Lister at backward point, which keeps them down to a single. Yes, Samit Patel dismissed from the final ball of the power play at Old Trafford on Sunday. That was a huge blow. He tried to muscle the ball away and didn't get enough on it. He went, and not entirely within Derbyshire's hopes, but it was certainly a big, big blow. 44 for 1. The backward point has now become a very fine short third man on the edge of the circle. Good luck as Stone bowls. Oh, and it's lifted into the leg side by David Lloyd, and he's been caught. He didn't get hold of that one at all. Quite high up on the bat. He's been caught out at sort of wide mid-on by Lyndon James, and Derbyshire in the final over of the power play at 44 for 2.
Yeah, David Lloyd there was looking for that favoured pull shot that had served him well a few overs before, but Ollie Stone coming back on, it just looked like it was onto him a little bit quicker than he anticipated, and as you said, Fletch, high up on the bat and just looped to mid-wicket.
We might as well let the announcer announce that it's going to be Wayne Madsen. He's already out in the middle. Wayne, the players coming out come off the bench or the dugout, and then the players who are out go straight into the changing room looking slightly forlorn. 1 4 and 2 6s for David Lloyd in his innings of 22 at more than a run a ball, which is what you want. 22 off 18 deliveries in the end. His final numbers. 44 for 2. They certainly don't want to lose a third wicket in the power play, because we all know what happens if you lose 3 wickets in a power play. Apparently, I still to see the evidence, but if you say it enough and you hear it enough, it automatically becomes a fact. I don't know who first said it, but whoever did first say it, it's got everybody else in the world saying it.
I think they're pretty spot on as well. Yeah. You don't see many teams win after losing 3 in the power play.
Stone bowls to Madsen, who just pushes this one out into the offside.
And this is where it's interesting in the last overs of the power play. Obviously, Derbyshire were in a good position at 43 for 1 going into the last over to try and push on and be aggressive. But then they lose a wicket, new batsman comes in, and they have to just readjust that and rein it in a little bit. You don't want to keep taking too many risks, like we said, and lose another third wicket, which will really put you behind in the game.
Stone in, bowls to Madsen, who again guides it, this time nicely wide, or in between point and short third man for a single, down to Matt Montgomery, who now finds himself fielding down on the boundary at a wide third man, not too far away from the marquee. 45 for 2. Madsen, always nice to get off the mark as well. And Aaron Donald didn't get the opportunity clearly, but it's always nice to get off the mark. Absolutely,
regardless of what format game it is, getting off the mark, you always have a little bit of a deep breath and a sigh of relief to be off the duck.
As Stone bowls, and he's caught behind, is he? Yes, he is. Fletcher's gone now, and Stone's got 2 in and over. Cam Fletcher goes for 19, and Derbyshire all of a sudden in a little bit of trouble here at 45 for 3. We haven't even got to the end of the power play.
Well, that's like we spoke about. It's the dreaded 3 wickets in the power play that all teams try and avoid. I'm not sure Fletcher looked very happy with that decision.
No.
Maybe indicating that it just came off his thigh pad, maybe, but either way, he's on his way back now, and Derbyshire are 45 for 3, and they got off to not the quickest start. They managed to drag it back through the middle of the power play, and then this last over of the power play has just really dragged the momentum back into Nottinghamshire's favour and makes it difficult now, as former Nottinghamshire man Samit Patel comes out to join Wayne Madsen. And I just feel like this period of the game with Wayne Madsen and Samit Patel, Derbyshire's 2 biggest players in this format, it's a crucial time in this game. It's going to have a massive impact on the outcome of it. If these 2 can bat well, put a partnership together and get Derbyshire up to a good score, but if these 2 don't get a partnership together and a score, it could be difficult for Derbyshire.
Absolutely. Samit will have been looking forward to this moment for a long time, certainly since he was informed that Nottinghamshire no longer required his services. Of course, many of the Nottinghamshire bowlers will know all about him. In fact, everybody at Nottinghamshire will know all about him. He was there for 22 years, for goodness sake.
I'd expect this ball to be short, first ball.
Yeah.
Fine leg, deep backward square. This will be short.
Here he is, Stone in, and it's a full
double bluff.
Yeah, it's full length delivery, and he's driven it out backward a square on the offside. Is it going to go all the way to 4? No, Montgomery will keep it in play. They'll come back for 2. It was Haynes who threw the ball in after Montgomery had stopped it, and that is the end of the power play, and it's a slightly disappointing one with 4 runs coming off the final over of the power play, but more importantly, 2 wickets falling as well. Nottingham should be quite pleased with that, which is very disappointing in itself.
Absolutely, yeah. To lose 2 wickets in the last over of the power play is a bit of a blow for Derbyshire. But just on that Samit Patel first ball, that was a tactic that Derbyshire employed to Samit over the years, especially in T20 cricket. try and use that short ball against him as much as possible. They felt he wasn't quite as comfortable on the back foot as he is on the front foot, and it looked to me like Nottinghamshire were letting him know exactly the same thing, what was coming with the field, but then just double bluffed him, and he's managed to get it away for 2.
Dylan Pennington from the racecourse end bowls to Wayne Madsen, tucks him up a little bit, ball dribbles out into the offside. I'm just going to see how well that worked for for Derbyshire against Samit Patel by using the magic of the internet. We can find out what Samit's record at from.
Well, I remember last year at Trent
all the teams he's played for.
Last year at Trent Bridge, first ball, he came in, I think they only needed 5 or 6 to win, and Scrimshaw bumped him first ball and he got caught out on deep square.
Pennington into bowl to Mountain, who guides this down to third man, leapt in the air to play that shot down towards third man, picks up the single, moves on to 248 for 3. Of course, he's played for that long, it's almost impossible to find anything out about Samit Patel without scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. His 220 record against Derbyshire, 34 matches, 30 innings, 12 not outs, 627 runs with a high score of 70, an average of 34.8, 6 50s. Here is
bad.
No, not bad at all. Pennington bowls to Samit, who tries to turn that into the leg side off the bat, but I think it came off his pad. Yes, confirmation from umpire Chantry. Another 1 to the score, 49 for 3 in the 7th over. And it is almost a consolidation period now, because although there is still plenty of batting to come, Ross Whiteley, who hasn't really fired yet, Brooke Guest, who's been pretty impressive, then Mitch Wagstaff, Zach Chappell, Pat Brown and Darren Dupavillon, as this one is turned by Wayne Madsen square into the leg side for a single. Montgomery's there now. He's everywhere, Matt Montgomery. Absolutely everywhere. So Aaron Donald for 0, David Lloyd for 22 and Cam Fletcher for 19, all out in the power play. And as one of our correspondents has rather unkindly put it, time for the granddads to bring it back. It's a little bit unkind.
Experience.
Yes, I think they probably prefer to be called that, wouldn't they?
Adept.
Samit waits, and that's off an edge down to third man for another single. He moves to 3, 51 for 3. If the pitch is too paced and there's a bit of bounce, then sometimes it's not coming on. What's a good score?
It's a good question, Fletch, and I think it depends generally if someone gets in or not. If one of these two can get in, a good score will be pushed up to 170, 180, but I think if someone doesn't get in and play a big innings, it'll be more around 160, I'd imagine.
Picked up another 1 towards that eventual target. Wayne Madsen just sort of tapping that one on the head down to third man for a single. End of the over. Madsen for Samit 3 and Derbyshire 52 for 3 after 7.
Like you said, Fletch, it's an important period of the game, and it is a little bit of a rebuilding phase, but one of the things with T20 cricket, it happens so quickly that you can't afford to spend too many overs trying to rebuild. You still need to be aggressive. You still need to look for the boundary option as much as possible, because before you know it, 4 or 5 overs have gone past. You've not scored a boundary and you're scoring at 4 or 5 and over, and you leave yourself a lot to do. But Calvin Harrison, the leg spinner, coming on from the City end against Wayne Madsen. It looks like they've got a man out at deep backward point. On for the reverse sweep.
He won't be able to
and there's
resist.
no one in the ring on the leg side.
First ball is just pushed out into the towards long off, and they walk through for a single. 53 for 3. Did you notice the first playing of that song?
I did, and I noticed your reaction to it as well, Fletch.
You know what? It's a really good song, and Neil Diamond's got a really good voice. But my word, have they played that to death? Let's get a new one, shall we? Any suggestions?
The fans love it though, Fletch.
But do they?
I think they do.
Okay.
They all sing it all the time.
I know. It's sort of false enjoyment, though, isn't it? I
They
always
feel
think.
like they have to.
Yeah. People pointing if you don't sing it. Harrison to Samit Patel. Samit goes back into his crease and then just turns that, but not off the bat, off a pad, down towards short fine leg for another single. 54 for 3. Samit moves up. No, he doesn't, because it was a leg by. He remains on 3. And Harrison will get through this over really quickly. That was a short one down the leg side. It's pulled away by Wayne Madsen, but there is cover out there away to our left-hand side. Will Young does the fielding. And Madsen picks up another single to move to 6, 55 for 3 with 3 balls of the 8th over remaining. And Derbyshire with some work to do here as Harrison bowls to Samet, pushes that one straight to the man at the extra cover, who of course is Matt Montgomery. Unless there's 2 of them out there, I think there is only one. There's somebody else. I could be easily fooled by somebody wearing Matt Montgomery's sweater. That is Montgomery. Extra cover. Here is Harrison in again, and Samet just pushes this one to the left of Joe Clark at mid-wicket, up towards long on. They pick up another single. Samet moves to 4, 56 for 3. They need to... When I'll ask you at the end of the over, but pointless asking you now because Harrison's on his way into bowl, which he does to Wayne Madsen, who pulls this into the leg side. There will be push. Yeah, exactly, but I'm not sure these two are built for quick singles, either of them, in all honesty.
Yeah, Samet doesn't seem to be too interested in running that hard and pushing the twos.
Wayne's 40. Yeah, and he's fit as a flame.
Wayne's sprinting down the other end. He was looking for 2, trying to get the field under pressure. It is a little bit of a bubbly outfield here at Derby, and with the sun in your eyes, fielding out in front of the pavilion, it can be tricky at times. So I think you can put the fielders under pressure and let them know you're looking for 2. But Samet just seems happy and content just to have a little trot down to the other end, which I remember getting a massive telling off from Mickey about that. I wonder if Samet will get the same treatment.
I don't think so. I don't think so. We're going to see Lyndon James, aren't we? Yeah, Lyndon James for the first time this evening. Somebody's car alarm's going off. James bowls and Madsen cuts.
Smashes it.
Straight to the man at point.
So there's that bobble we was talking about. It's gone straight to him and it's just bobbled and hit him in the chest. So you can get people under pressure and make them attack the ball in the outfield. So if rather than just letting it roll up to him, we can get him behind it with a long barrier. If he's having to attack that ball, get to it quickly and it bobbles, you're a good chance of him not only misfielding it, but also missing it completely.
James to Samet, 58 for 3. Bowls to him now. He pulls it into the leg side. Again,
Samet just trots down to the other end. Wayne's pushing for 2.
No, he might as well stop pushing. Samet moves on to 5, 59 for 3. When do you start to go then? They're going along, they're getting the singles where they can. We haven't had a boundary for a while. Do you leave it until over 12, 13, around there? Just slowly accumulate until then?
I think it depends on the conditions and the bowlers, who's bowling at the time. I think the matchup at the minute for Wayne will definitely be in our advantage with the spinner on. He will probably look to be a bit more aggressive and take his boundary options against the spinner.
Well, he played an aggressive shot there, got a thick inside edge that bounced past his leg stump.
Yeah, he's looking to try and get on the front foot, hit that on the up through extra cover, which can be a tricky shot on a pitch that is a little bit too paced, hence why he probably got an inside edge on that.
60 for 3. Madsen moves on to 9 from 11. Samet has 5 from 7. The partnership 15 from 16 deliveries as James is in, and Samet has launched him for 6 out towards the demolition stand. One bounce and into the crowd. And he has to complete, as Samet always has throughout his career, he has to complete the single. But Samet Patel picks up his first boundary, moves on to 11, Derbyshire 66 for 3.
And I think that answers your question, Fletch.
They're not going to wait.
How long they're going to wait and how long they're going to rebuild. They've had a few overs outside of the power play, and now Samet has looked to put the foot down as he's just picked that up over backward square for 6.
He's waiting now as James sends the next delivery down, and he pulls this quite violently towards mid-on, where Ollie Stone misfields. Perhaps as part of the bobbly outfit. He looks at his hand and he's going to need some treatment as well. Straight away signals that he needs to go off for a bit of treatment. He's received a cut to his right hand, which is his bowling hand. He's bowled 2 overs already, Ollie Stone, and he's trotting off the field now. So that's not good news for Nottinghamshire. Might be good news for Derbyshire. Not that we wish injury to anybody. 67 for 3. Well, we don't.
No, of course.
No, of course we don't. No, we don't.
I'm sure it's nothing serious. He's probably just broken a nail, maybe a little bit of blood, and wants to go and get it all.
He's just had them done as well. I mean, he'd be furious. He'd be furious, wouldn't he? Because it's not cheap these days, apparently. Here is Lyndon James. Final ball of his first over. Bowls to Madsen, who swats that out towards the mid-wicket boundary. And they are going to come back for 2 this time. Madsen's running towards the danger end, but the throw isn't that good. That was a good 2 this time. Madsen moves into double figures. He's on 11, and at the end of 9, Derbyshire are 69 for 3, and a 6 always helps. 12 off that over as we approach the halfway stage.
Yeah, it's a great over for Derbyshire. And just going back to your question before in terms of how long people look to build, to rebuild, and when do you put the foot down, I think it all depends on this given scenario at the time. You might want to look to target a certain bowler. Maybe Derbyshire have identified Lyndon James as someone they want to put under pressure, a young seamer, probably the least experienced of the 3 in the Nottinghamshire bowling attack. So maybe they were always going to put him under pressure. And I think it's important to have that adaptability during a T20 games to go up and down the gears depending on conditions and bowlers.
Colin Harrison bowls to Samit, who goes for a big yahoo and gets an inside edge down to short fine leg, where Dylan Pennington does the fielding. 138 for 7 Leicestershire now against Durham, so a bit of a recovery. They've still got just under 3 overs to go in that one at Grace Road as Harrison bowls, and that is pulled into the leg side. 1 bounce and 4 runs. A despairing dive out there in the distance, I think from a substitute fielder, but I could be mistaken. And 4 ball to Samit. He moves on to 16, 73 for 3. He looks determined.
He does, yeah. He looks like he's got the bit between his teeth, and that was almost a Wayne Madsen-esque sweep shot, struck it really well in front of square for 4. Fielder had no chance.
I think it is the 12th man as well. Oh, he's lifted this. That might be 6, it might be out, it could be either, and it's out. In front of the dugout, Samit Patel has perished now. He went for the big shot with the wind, in fairness to him. But a good catch running round the boundary, and Samit Patel has gone, and Derbyshire have lost their 4th wicket now. They're 73 for 4. He goes for 16.
Yeah, that's a shame. As you said, it's a big part of the game. These 2 batters, plenty of experience, and he was just beginning to build a partnership after a few overs of just rebuilding. They looked to really be trying to put the foot down. And like you said, Samit took the option to try and take the spinner down, go to the boundary with the wind, but just didn't quite get hold of it enough and got caught on the rope there.
16 off 12 for Samit. He hit 1-4 and 1-6, and of course it was Matt Montgomery who took the catch, because he's over there now. That's what no, it's been changed. Thank goodness for that. It's
Will Young, I think.
It's Will Young.
It's actually a good catch out there. It's always difficult when you're close to the rope, and then you've always got the sun in your eyes as it's setting. It's really low. It can make it really difficult, but he took that really comfortably there.
But Guest is the next man out in the middle. He's batted nicely so far in this competition this season, and he's going to run, pick up a single rather off the first ball that he faces. Just dribbles it out towards the edge of the 30-yard circle at mid-wicket. 74 for 4. These 2 have both batted pretty nicely. In fact, Wayne Madsen has got 80 runs in 2 innings going into this one. Missed the game at Old Trafford. Brooke has 65 in 3 as Harrison is in, and Wayne Madsen sweeps. Of course he sweeps. And he's only going to pick up a single for that one. That is Will Young out there in the distance. I thought it couldn't have been Montgomery, but they came up on the scoreboard. Montgomery's out on the cover boundary. If they're going to ask him to go from one side of this ground to the other, I think I'd probably ask for my P45. 75 for 4. Guest pushes this nicely out into the offside. There's Montgomery, look. They pick up a single. Guest moves to 2. 76 for 4 at the end of 10 overs. So halfway, they will be hoping to more than double that. 150 probably won't be enough. It's the loss of 4 wickets that's the concern, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah, it is. That is the ultimate method of slowing the run rate down. You can never really build a partnership where you get 2 batsmen in at the same time who can score freely. If you keep having to lose wickets and new batters coming in, regardless of the format, it does take time for batters to be able to come in and start scoring freely. So that is ultimately the best way to slow the run rate down, is to continue to consistently take wickets.
We're going to see Matt Montgomery bowl now, so he's not going to do any catching in the deep. He hides the ball behind his back and bowls to Brooke Guest, who punches it up towards Lyndon James at long on down below us.
It's an interesting time for Montgomery to come on. I think having just gotten Samit Patel out, I think now Nottinghamshire think this is the time to try and sneak an over in so that they have a little bit of leeway and flexibility as the innings go forward. But it'll be interesting to see how Wayne Madsen plays this. He's obviously incredibly good against spin, and maybe a look to target Montgomery.
Who bowls to Madsen and lifts this down the ground. That'll be 6 all the way. One bounce on the advertising boards. And you're absolutely right, Tom Wood. That's why you get paid the big bucks. Wayne Madsen picks up at 6, moves on to 18, 83 for 4.
Yeah, I feel like this is a good matchup for Wayne. He does really enjoy batting against off spinners. It doesn't tend to spin much here at Derby. Montgomery is a part-time bowler. They're trying to sneak one in, and Wayne is not having any of it. It's getting him under pressure straight away.
Bowls to him, and this time, I thought he'd missed that.
I did as well. I
thought he missed that
cursed him
completely, and he pushed it up to long on.
Commentator's curse.
Lyndon James picks up. Madsen moves to 19. I'm glad it wasn't just me. 84 for 4. Sometimes when you're watching from our vantage point, it'd be worse on the 5th floor at Leeds, but sometimes you can't quite tell where the ball's going. Montgomery bowls to Brooke Guest, and it's a good diving, tumbling stop away to his right by Montgomery to make sure that they don't get anything from that particular delivery. 84 for 4. 2 balls of Montgomery's over to go. He only bowled 3 overs and 2 balls in the first 3 matches. So, as Woody says, a bit of a part-time bowler, as Brooke Guest can't beat the extra cover. It's Joe Clark making a bit of a meal of it.
And this is exactly why they brought him on at this time with a new batter in, just to try and sneak an over in at a new batter who's not quite settled in, and they can get a few dots on him like he has just done there at Brooke Guest.
Yes, single 85 for 4 off the last ball, 9 runs off the over, and I think that's been well worthwhile bringing Matt Montgomery on to concede just the 9 runs in his first over number 11. Guest has 4, Madsen has 19. When do you play your T20s then in club cricket? In midweek?
Yeah. I think sometimes they have a competition where they do like a little day of it where there's 3 teams and each teams play
which makes
2
sense.
games. Yeah, it does. I can't exactly remember what date that is on though.
No, it's very lucrative for clubs, isn't it, to hold T20s. 85 for 4. Calvin Harrison brings starts a new over rather. It's just clipped very nicely down towards short fine leg by Brooke Guest. It brings Wayne Madsen back onto strike. Guest has 5. Madsen is on 1986 for 4. Yeah, my club is playing this evening. They play all theirs on a Friday night.
Well, that'll be good for the crowd.
Yeah, no, they're usually pretty raucous, as this next one is short and it's clouted away by Wayne Madsen over the top, backward of square on the offside, but didn't really get hold of it. Perhaps fortunate not to get hold of it because Jack Haynes is waiting down there towards the boundary at backward point, picks up a single, moves to 20, 87 for 4.
Yeah, I think this is a common feeling for most Derbyshire fans, but I feel like Wayne Madsen holds the key to this Derbyshire innings. He needs to bat and take this deep. If he can bat until 18 overs at least, it'll give Derbyshire a great platform. But I feel if he gets out, it will be difficult for Derbyshire to get up to 170, which is probably going to be what they'll need to try and get to for an average par score, I'd imagine.
Brooke Guest picks up 2 runs after slapping the ball out to a wide long off. He moves on to 7, 89 for 4. Harrison halfway through his over, and Guest drives that down towards long off for another single. So he moves on to 8, 90 for 4 in the 12th over. 2 balls in the 12th over still to go. Always look at club sides as well and look at 170 being a reasonable score in this form of cricket with the professionals. As Harrison bowls, and that one is cut away by Wayne Madsen just for another single. He'll move to 21, 91 for 4. I'm terrified because Lostock have scored 141 in the game against my team, Blackrod, and they've got no chance of chasing them.
Is that too many,
I think that's too many. Although, having said that, they're 32 without loss after 3 overs in reply.
Oh, they're flying,
so,
they're flying.
Yeah, making the most of the power play, as you should. 91 for 4, Derbyshire. Harrison bowls, and I'm not entirely sure what that came off, because he's got his back to us, Brooke Guest. It didn't
like
come off his bat. Yeah, comes off the pad. Steve O'Shaughnessy signals leg by. End of the over. 12 gone now. Derbyshire 92 for 4. 7 runs off that over. So 3 single-figure overs in a row around the midway point, bowled by Notts Outlaws, and the Falcons, as I say, 92 for 4. They need another.
Montgomery's coming again.
Oh, hello.
Montgomery's coming again. I think this could be an over Derbyshire look to target, especially if Wayne gets on strike, either down the ground or with one of his many sweeps that he's got in the locker.
He bowls initially to Brooke Guest, who drives it straight back out, the bowler. I think they've had a word and say, look, you just tap it into the leg side, we'll run a single and take over
Wayne,
from there.
Let Wayne take the spinners. That's what I always used to do. Let's get a 1 over to you, Wayne.
Guest waits, Montgomery bowls, Jimmy goes back and cuts it out into the offside, out towards the cover boundary. They're going to pick up a single. Guest will move to 9, 93 for 4. And now the contest that Tom Wood's been waiting for.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what option Wayne takes. He's got a plethora of options, all different types of sweeps, and he can strike it down the ground. It'll be interesting to see what he goes for.
Done that once, he just heaves it into the leg side for a single and throws back his head in disappointment. He didn't want to do that.
Yeah, Montgomery's bowled that quick back of a length. I think he's aware of all of Wayne's sweep capabilities, and after being smacked back down the ground over his head for 6, he didn't want to lob it up again.
He's bowling to Brooke Guest, who slaps it straight to the man at cover, and it's dropped by Clark. And that's a fairly straightforward opportunity to get rid of Brooke Guest there for Joe Clark. We don't like that, it's disrespectful. And Clark knows he's dropped one there, and he won't be very happy, but Brooke Guest will. He moves on to 10, 95 for 4. This one is heaved into the leg side by Wayne Madsen. It's in between the two fielders out there as well at Cow Corner, and he picks up a boundary. 99 for 4, Derbyshire. Wayne Madsen moves on to 26 from 19 deliveries, with only his second boundary, and his first was that 6 straight down the ground, back to us off Montgomery in the previous over. 1 ball of the 13th remain. Montgomery hiding that ball still behind his back, bowls to Madsen, who goes back into his crease and forces it down towards Alex Hales. No, not Alex Hales.
It is Alex Hales.
Is it Alex Hales? Why is he number 3 on my scorecard? I thought it was Alex Hales. And the 100 is up for Derbyshire. Just a ripple of applause, really, because it's neither here nor there. 13 overs gone, 7 to go, 100 for 4. Madsen 27, Guest 10. Crucial times, and Calvin Harrison is going to continue. I don't know how he finds time in between making all those records. I genuinely don't, to play professional cricket, but there we are. That's the first dad joke of the, well, probably not the first, but very much a dad joke, that, isn't it?
Definitely,
yeah. Sorry, I can only apologise. 100 for 4. Harrison from the city end bowls a short delivery. Madsen cuts and doesn't get hold of it at all, and just flexes his right arm. Every time Madsen flexes anything these days, you worry. Yeah,
everybody's heart stops.
Sharp intake of breath. It was his left shoulder that he hurt that prevented him from playing at Old Trafford at the weekend.
Sweep incoming.
Harrison. Oh no, it's the attempt to paddle it. Did he get anything on that? No, it's been signalled wide, so it went down the leg side, and they've gone through for a single, and Harrison's got his hands on his hips. And I have to say, I do agree with him. Blimey, he was dancing around the crease everywhere, fractionally down the leg side, and Derbyshire pick up 2 runs for it. 1 to Madsen, who moves to 27, and 1 for the wide. 102 for 4.
I think this is a time for Guest to try and look for a boundary option. 10 off 13. You don't want to put too much pressure on Wayne in these middle overs.
Harrison bowls to him, and he's got a full toss, and it's gone in front of, or square, of straight rather, at mid-wicket, and he's going to have to race back here, Wayne Madsen. The throw from the boundary almost takes out Calvin Harrison on its way back, and Guest picks up 2 to move to 12, 104 for 2. If he could have got that a little bit straighter, he may well have reached the rope. As it is, he picked up 2, and Harrison bowls, and this time he's slapped it up towards long off. Madsen fancies coming back for the second, he won't. And quite right too, and they pick up another single halfway through. He's over now, Harrison. 105 for 4. Madsen on 27. Guest has 13. The partnership 32 off 24, largely down to Wayne Madsen. who's on strike now, and
oh, no.
he's come off his bat and coming down towards a very short fine leg and running away from the fielder. It has spun a lot, and Stone does really well at the end. He picks up 2 more. He went one way and it spun violently the other way, and Stone had to adjust.
Madsen looking for that famous sweep shot again, but just got a top edge over the keeper. It looked for a second like it was going to go to short third man. But thankfully for Derbyshire fans, it fell safe.
I thought he clotted it back to the bowler. This is a full delivery, and it's driven down the ground for 4 by Wayne Madsen. How on earth he's managed to do that? That's a terrific shot, because he was cramped up. He'd stepped into the leg side. It was bowled in at his feet, and yet he still managed to get it for 4.
Yeah, he's got brilliant hands, Wayne. Being able to just manipulate that ball from really full and whip his bottom hand in his wrist through it and still strike it with power down the ground.
Harrison to complete his 4 overs, and he's been clouted down the ground for 6. That's gone halfway up the permanent temporary stand. I think it's been dropped in there as well. And that is a fantastic way to end the over. Madsen moves on to 39 now. Derbyshire 117 for 4 at the end of that Calvin Harrison over. A very expensive one it turned out to be. 6 overs to go, 117 for 4. Madsen remains the key man.
Yes, he does. As always, Wayne the key man. Guesty playing a little bit of an anchor role. Wayne 39 off 24, really putting the foot down there. It's just part of Wayne's game. He's so experienced. He manages to manage innings so well. He knows exactly when to go, when to put the foot down, when to rebuild, which bowlers to target. And I think whatever Wayne Madsen is in, Derbyshire fans are relaxed and they feel like they're in control of the game, which is exactly what's happening here.
Dylan Pennington from the racecourse end for the first time, bowled 2 overs from the city end in the power play, and bowls to Brooke Guest, who clips it into the leg side. He fancies 2 here, but Wayne Madsen says, no, 1 will do. I'll take over from here. Calvin Harrison coming in off the boundary to do the fielding. Guest moves to 14, 118 for 4.
Yeah, I think this is a time where Brooke can really put his foot down and look to be a bit more aggressive now with 5.5 overs remaining. Just ticking over at just below a runner ball with the likes of Ross and Zach Chappell to come in. Like we said, we don't want to put too much pressure on Wayne Madsen to do all of the scoring. And this is a good opportunity for Brooke to put his foot down and find the rope, I think.
Pennington in bowls to Madsen. No, he's going to get caught at third man. As he know, it's dropped just short. He's got away with one there. The third man probably didn't react as quickly as he might have done. Who is that down in the distance? Don't tell me. I'll get it in the end. It's Ben Lister. I thought he was a little bit tardy in running towards the ball, and as a result, pretty much took it on the half volley. Madsen moves to 40, 119 for 4.
Yeah, Wayne was looking for that scoop over the keeper there from back of a length. He just got it a little bit too close to third man.
Pennington bowls. That's pulled around the corner by Brooke Guest. He's hit that pretty well, and it's gone for 4. Again, he's been a beneficiary of perhaps a little bobble out in the distance there. Let's be fair to Ollie Stone down there, or Lyndon James? Lyndon James, I think, down there in the far distance. Don't think Ollie Stone's back yet. Can't see him, but then again, I don't know what he looked like. I do know what he looks like.
I think that is Ollie Stone down there. I think.
Is it? Yeah.
Lyndon might be at backward point.
Okay.
He'll be bowling soon, so he needs to be back on.
Well, yes, quite. 123 for 4. Guest now moves to a slightly better than a runner ball 18, and he waits now, and he pulls this quite hard into the leg side. That man is down there again on the square leg boundary. It's Jack Haynes this time who does the fielding, and they go through for just a single on this occasion. Guest moves to 19, 124 for 4. 5 overs and 2 balls remain. Still an opportunity for Derbyshire to post a defendable total, but of course they've got some big hitters. Alex Hales, Joe Clark, Will Young, Jack Haynes. Oh dear. Here is Pennington bowls.
That's the one he was looking for before.
Yeah, the little ramp. It's above his head already, the ball, because it's banged in short by Dylan Pennington, and he just waits for it, and with the face of the bat just lifts it over the keeper straight down to the boundary for 4.
Yeah, that's definitely something Wayne's been looking for a few overs now, especially with this field with the men at mid-on and mid-off up, deep cover, third man, fine leg, deep square, deep mid-wicket indicates that Pennington's going to bowl at least back of a length into the pitch, which gives Madsen the chance to use the pace and get it over the keeper.
He got a bit foxed by the pace there, and not entirely sure what shot he ended up trying to play. It ended up being a dot ball. 128 for 4 at the end of the over. 11 runs from that one. 5 overs to go. I did see the Falcon at the far end of the ground a few minutes ago trying to gee up the crowd, but he's disappeared again now. And we've got a picture. We've got a picture of Ross Whiteley saying, "Bring your energy," whatever that means.
Clapping his hands.
Yeah. Well, how's that bringing energy? I have no idea. There we go. But he's very excited, is Ross. He'll be in next.
Yeah, 5 overs left, 128 for 4. I think Derbyshire will be looking to try and push on to 180 plus now. 5 overs left, at least 10 and over for the next 5 with wickets in hand. 180 plus gives them a good chance.
I like that. I like 180 plus. They scored 201 in 2015 when they beat Outlaws the last time they beat them. Here is Ben Lister bowling, and that is driven by Brooke Guest out into the offside. Tumbling stop there by Joe Clark, and he picks up a single, moves to 20, 129 for 4. There'll come a point at which Brooke Guest will think, right, well, I might as well have a go because Ross Whiteley's next, Zach Chappell's after me. But as a batsman, it must be difficult to think like that because you don't want to give your wicket away, do you?
Yeah, I don't ever think you think like that because that's not really taking responsibility. It's leaving for someone else. But I think you do think the situation of the game.
Lister bowls and Madsen just about beats Alex Hales at mid-off, and it goes for 4 out to the demolition stand. Sorry, Tom, just for a moment, I didn't think he'd got enough of that. He just had enough of that and moves to 48, 133 for 4.
But yeah, just going back to the point I was making, you don't think about leaving it to the people to come. You want to do it yourself, but you do have to read the situation of the game and do what the game requires you to do. And like we said, with 5 overs left, 6 wickets in hand, now's the time to really put the foot down and try and get up a big score and give yourself an advantage.
Wayne Madsen has to stretch for that one because he stepped into the leg side. He might pick up a couple here. If he doesn't get 4, that's 4. That's 4. Come on, umpires, you need to sort yourselves out here. Let's have a bit of honesty from the fielders as well.
The fans are signalling 4 on that side.
Yeah, but they're only going to get 2 for it. And that's another half century for Wayne Madsen. Remarkable, remarkable cricketer. 33rd time he's got to 50 in T20 cricket. Of course, he's gone on twice to make a century. It would be remarkable if he made a century today. 29 deliveries. Here is Lister.
Getting a T20 century.
I can imagine. I have no idea. I know you do. Yeah. There's a slight misfield by Earlystone. They're going to come back for a second as well on the misfield. It's a good job that didn't hit the stumps, but Wayne Madsen gets back comfortably. 137 for 4. That feeling when you get to 3 figures in T20, though, Tom, tell us about it.
Yeah, it's pretty special, Fletch. It's a tough one to put into words, to be honest.
That's what you're here for.
Absolutely. Like you said, there's not many people who have, especially in Derbyshire's history, I think 6 people?
5. Somebody's done it twice.
Yeah, someone special.
Yes. Here's Lister bowling to that man who guides this out into the offside.
Seems to hold most of the Derbyshire batting records.
Yes, certainly T20. Of course, he's never going to catch Kim Barnett, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that's impossible for anybody. He used to play every day for
the rest of his life. Yeah.
I think Kim must have played about 5 million games, didn't he?
I think he's in the top 10 of most matches played by an individual. Lister bowls to Guest, who that one wraps him on the pad. That might have been slightly off the pad, actually, as he tried to turn it into the leg side. It's a leg by, and it's the end of the over at 138 for 4. 10 off that one, so that 10 and over that Woody was talking about is a distinct possibility.
And I think if these two can keep going like that for 1 or 2 more overs, you could even get a bit more of that. If Wayne's in at the last couple with Ross to come as well, he can really break the shackles and go big and try and push Derbyshire up to as big a total as possible.
Let's hope so. Iceland, who are coached by the father of one of the owners of Burton Albion, lead England by a 1-0 at Wembley in their last friendly before the Euros. I'll leave it to Ed at half-time in the cricket to pronounce the name of the goal scorer. I've never heard of the young man, but 12 minutes in, Iceland lead by a 1-0.
Interesting field here from Lyndon James. Looks like he's going to bowl wide.
which he did, and it came off the bottom of the bat, went out to square leg.
Deep backward square, deep cover, long off, long on, deep mid-wicket.
140 for 4 the score moves up to with that single taken by Brooke Guest. 21 off 21 he has. Wayne Madsen 53 off 31.
It's an interesting ploy when the boundaries are the same size the whole way around.
James is in. Madsen uses his feet and he lifts that in the air. He might get caught here. Incoming is Alex Hales, and Alex Hales takes the catch and then tumbles after taking the catch, and Madsen goes for 53, and Derbyshire lose their 5th wicket. 140 for 5 in the 17th over.
Yeah, that's a massive wicket for Derbyshire to lose. Wayne was playing beautifully, 53 from 31 balls, and if he was able to stay in until the end, that would guarantee Derbyshire 180 plus. So that's a big loss. But now Ross comes out, 3.5 overs left, and we all know how Ross can strike the ball. No ground's big enough for him if he can get going. He's not quite had the best of times the first few games, but what better time now to come good and clear the ropes against Notts on a Friday night here at Derby.
I saw him play in the final warm-up game, which was a second team game against Leicestershire here, and he struck the ball absolutely beautifully. He also got a nice 50 down at Bristol in the Championship. Was it that one, or was it a game here? Either way, he was. I think it might have been in the game here against Sussex, actually. That was right, because he was 12th man down at Bristol, and he played more correctly than any of the other batsmen in that particular innings. So Ross Whiteley, with all the experience in the world. I
do think sometimes they leave Ross a little bit too late. Like, we all know he can come in, he can strike it, he can hit big sixes, but there's 3.4 overs left, and you just ask him to come in and strike it straight away, when if he can come in with 7 or 8 overs left, he has that opportunity to face 7, 8 balls, get to 10, get a few balls under his belt, and then he can strike it. It's a very, very difficult ask to come in with 3 overs left and just expect someone to clear the rope from first ball. I think with someone like Ross, he is so powerful, he can be so devastating at the end of the innings.
There's his second delivery that he's faced. He's driven it down the ground. Alex Hales is going to get around and almost steps on the rope, but does well not to. Montgomery throws the ball in. The first ball was really wide of the off stump. It was a wide Yorker from Lyndon James. Good delivery. 142 for 5. So Ross Whiteley up and running with 2 balls of the 17th over to go. So 20 deliveries left. 142 for 5, Derbyshire. They were put into bat by the Outlaws, and this one has come off an edge, a top edge, and it's gone all the way for 6. Down towards deep backward square leg. Well, who wants to be a bowler? Not me. He moves to 6, and Derbyshire up to, he moves to 8 rather, 148 for 5. Take them any way you can at this stage.
Absolutely. And just going back to my point, I would like to see Ross come in with a bit more time, where he's got that chance to get in and then go big, rather than just come in and strike it straight away. Players like him, they can be so devastating, so dangerous. I think you've got to give them a bit more time and a bit more chance to have more of an influence on the game.
There is James, final ball of his over. It's his second over. Round the wicket he comes, and that one is wide of the off stump. And he sort of fetches it back towards the bowler. There's Ross Whiteley. He was slightly wrong-footed by that delivery, shall we say. 148 to 10 off that over as well. 148 for 5 now. Lyndon James has 1 for 21 from his 2 overs. We're going to get excited by this song as well. This is an oldie, this one, isn't it?
This is an oldie, yeah. I reckon this was playing at my school discos when I was at primary school.
Yeah, I was about 45 when it came out. Freddie the Falcons giving it plenty out there, throwing some shapes in front of the grandstand. He'll be sweating, won't he, in that? Whoever it is. Of course, it's a Falcon.
Absolutely.
But I imagine the Falcon will be very sweaty. Ollie Stone back on the field. I'm going to bowl overs number 18 and 20, I imagine, having bowled overs number 3 and 6 at the top of the innings. He's on his way now to bowl to Brooke Guest, who's on 21, gives himself room, gets a bottom edge, which completely wrong foots the keeper and goes down to a very, very, very fine third man for 4 runs.
Take them anyway they come. Backed away to the leg side, gave himself a bit of room, and Ollie Stone's done well, to be fair to him. He's followed him, but Guest has just got a little nick on that past the keeper for 4.
Astonishing. They'll tell us it was all deliberate. 152 for 5. We won't believe him, of course. No chance for Tom Moores behind the stumps. So 17 deliveries to go. 152 for 5. Guest on 25. Stone bowls to him, and he turns that around the corner just for a single. Down to Ben Lister away to our left-hand side. Lister's got 1 over left, so you'd imagine he'd bowl over number 19. 1 for 25 for his 3 so far. Pennington's done at 4 overs for 30. Harrison 4 overs, 1 for 34. James 2 overs, 1 for 21, and Montgomery 2 overs for 17, so did a job. Ollie Stone 2 for 20 from his 2 overs and 2 balls so far. Picked up the wickets in the same over of David Lloyd for 22 and Cam Fletcher for 19 in what was a bit of a blow towards the end of the Derbyshire power play. Here he comes now, bowling to Ross Whiteley, who goes for the big swing and misses
Slow
it.
Ball.
Yeah, through the shot.
Yeah.
I think I spotted that. I think I spotted that.
Great work.
But I'm not sure. Yes, thank you.
Big 15 balls left of this innings for Derbyshire. Like we saw at Old Trafford, if you can finish the end of your innings well and take that momentum into the second innings, it can be massive for the rest of the game. If we can get up to 180 plus, that'll give them a good chance.
Stone bowls. This is
6.
That's enormous. Out towards the mid-wicket boundary. It wasn't quite as enormous as I'd imagined, but it's into the wind, of course, so it was dying all the time. There was a fielder out there on the boundary, Jack Haynes. He lifted himself off the ground and went for it with his left hand, but couldn't quite get there. 6 more to Ross Whiteley. He moves to 14 from 6. 159 for 5 now, Derbyshire, with 14 deliveries to go. That 180 is a possibility. Still Zach Chappell, Mitch Wagstaff, who obviously is an opening bat in red ball cricket and can strike a good ball in white ball too. Still to come of the batsmen, then Pat Brown and Darren Dupavilan. I'm not sure either of them have got one off the square yet this season. There's Stone bowls, and
not sure about that.
Ross Whiteley goes for the flick. Again, Stone followed him because he ended up, there is a man, yes, as you quite correctly point out, at fine leg, but they go through for it came off the bat for a single. Ross Whiteley.
Yeah, luckily it did, otherwise it'd probably been LB. Yes, but it's an interesting option for Ross to try and ramp that with fine leg back. It's not normally his game. He looks to stand still and strike it, and that 6 for 4, he didn't get all of it, and he still cleared the rope. I'd like to see him stick to that strength a bit more.
Stone bowls, full toss, turned around the corner by Brooke Guest. Oh, and it goes straight underneath the fielder down there, away to our left-hand side, Dylan Pennington. That was a fairly ordinary piece of fielding by Pennington, away to our left-hand side at long leg, and Guest moves to 26 to 30, I beg his pardon, at the end of the over. Whiteley has 15, 164 for 5, which means, a rough calculation, 16 runs off that over, which is better than you'd hoped for.
Absolutely.
So there are now 12 balls left. 170 is easily achievable. 180
should be.
Yeah.
180 should be achieved. I'm
sort of 185, 190.
190 now. Yeah. 190 for sure.
Which would put them in the game.
Absolutely. Whenever you get 180 plus in a T20, you've got a chance. Especially the way Notts line up. They're top heavy with Hales and Clark up top. If you can come out, finish this innings well, come out, nip them 2 out early doors in the power play, you're right in the A game there.
Lister bowling to Ross Whiteley, who bowls way wide of the off stump, and it is signalled wide. Ross didn't move towards the offside, and that's something that's sort of come in the last 12 months almost, isn't it? If you move into the offside as a batsman and they bowl it outside the off stump, they can still get away with it a bit more than they used to be able to, bowlers, but he stood stock still.
You get a little bit of leniency. If the batsman moves across, the wide line moves across with them to a certain degree.
Here comes Lister. Again, over the wicket bowls to Whiteley, who gets a bottom out down towards a very fine fine leg for 4 runs. Ross Whiteley moves on to 19. I'm laughing because that's about the 4th boundary that's come in that manner. Whiteley 19, 169 for 5. Surprisingly, it's been raining in the northwest. Got a revised target. 117 from 16 deliveries. No, Blackwell. It's not on ESPN Cricket Info. That one. It's the big game. It's the one.
That matters.
It's the one that everybody's talking about, Woody. I don't think it's rained at Old Trafford though. I won't read any scores out now because I don't want to leave Ed with absolutely nothing to speak about for 5-10 minutes in a few minutes' time. 169 for 5. Lister in to bowl to Whiteley, who's driven it down the ground for 4. It was a full delivery. He managed to get his bat down on it and drove it all along the ground to a very straight mid-off. And Ross Whiteley is starting to pick up some momentum here. 23 off 9, 173 for 5 with 10 balls to go. 200, Woody, 200.
It's on.
250.
If Ross stays in, he strikes them like this.
201
Absolutely.
They scored in 2015 on the 26th of June when they last beat Notts in a T20 match. 201. They actually won it by 34 runs, so they've probably got enough already. Here is Lister in and bowls to Whiteley. That's a wide delivery, and he reaches for it. If he'd have left it or played over the top of it, he'd have probably got a wide for it, but he picks up a single, moves to 24, 174 for 5 with 9 balls to go. And the fact that it's left and right-hander out there at the moment is helping Derbyshire too, I think.
Absolutely. You've always got someone trying to hit with the wind at least, and it's always difficult for the bowlers to readjust.
They've got 3 out on the leg side boundary, 2 on the off, and Lister bowls, and it's heaved into the leg side by Brooke Guest. He didn't really get the number of runs he would have been hoping for the amount of effort that was put into that shot. He moves to 31, 176 for 5. The partnership 35 off 14, 24 of which have been scored by Ross Whiteley. And Brooke Guest is playing a fairly decent hand for his side here. 31 off 25. Just keeping it ticking over and allowing the bigger hitters to do their work. And here's Ross Whiteley doing his work. That is outrageous.
Oh, wow.
He has flicked that off his toes down towards a wide, fine leg for 6 runs. I have no idea, Woody, how do you do that? 181 for 5, incidentally.
That's a brilliant shot. It's all in the hands that he's whipped his wrist through last minute and just helped it on its way over fine leg for 6. And it's gone not that high. It's cannoned into the advertising boards down in front of the old pavilion.
Remarkable.
It's an outstanding shot.
Lister, final ball of his spell. It's going to go for 6. It's gone over Hales' head. It was a full toss. It's been hammered away by Ross Whiteley. He moves to 36. 187 for 5 now with 6 deliveries to go. Can they get to 200? Can they get to 200? The partnership already worth 47 and 187. My pen is causing a problem here. 187 means they scored 23 off that over. Is that right?
It's a great over for Derbyshire, and it's exactly what we were speaking about in terms of taking that momentum into the second innings. This is what Ross Whiteley's capable of. 36 off 12 balls. Hopefully we can get him back on strike for the majority of the last over, and he can clear the ropes a couple more times, get us up to 200.
I love Brooke Guest to bits. He's probably the hardest working cricketer I've ever come across, with his batting and his keeping and all the rest of it, but just get a single here. Guesty, that's all you need.
Leg side for one.
Yeah, here is Ollie Stone beginning the final over, swing and a miss. That isn't quite what we were looking for there from Brooke Guest. So a dot ball to begin the final over. 5 balls to go, 187 for 5.
Exciting stuff, Fletch.
Well, I'm pleasantly surprised, I have to say, given that they were 47 for 3 at the end of the power play, then 76 for 4 at the halfway stage. It's been a terrific second half of the innings for Derbyshire at Stone bowls, and this one is heaved for 6. Is it? No, it's going to be caught. No, it's been dropped on the boundary. Dear, oh dear, straight into his hands. The fielder out there is getting dog's abuse from the grandstand, and to be fair, he absolutely deserves it, Will Young. He took a good catch earlier running round the boundary, and that one's gone straight to him, and he's put it down. 188 for 5. Guest has 32, and it brings Ross Whiteley back onto strike. The perfect result, really.
That is the perfect result. I think as I spoke about earlier, those catches are always difficult out on that side.
Into
The sun is so
absolutely,
low.
you know, fair
It
play.
literally comes straight out of the sun. I've been out there many a times.
I'd still abuse him though. If it was me.
Well, it is nuts after all. So
Stone around the
Let him have
wicket. Absolutely. Driven down the ground. That's going to be 4. Ross Whiteley moves to 40 with 3 deliveries to go. He's only faced 13 deliveries. This must be getting close to fastest half-century in Derbyshire history territory. Something I should, of course, have at my fingertips, but will be leaning heavily on David Griffin at the interval to tell me how close it is. But it can't be. I can't imagine there have been many quicker half-centuries. Should he get there?
15 balls. He's got to be on for 15 balls. He's done well there. Ollie Stone's bowled not far off a good Yorker there, maybe a fraction over pitched. And Ross has managed to muscle it straight back down the ground for 4.
192 for 5. Whiteley on 40. Stone around the wicket. Bowls to him, and he's gone for the big swing, and he's missed it. So now he has to hit a 6 as well as a 4 to get a 16-ball half-century. Even if he doesn't, he's batted exceptionally well, Ross Whiteley, with 3 4s and 4 6s in his knock of 40 from 14 balls. We have 2 to go in the innings. 192 for 5. Of course, that would also get Derbyshire over the magical 200 mark. Here comes Stone in and bowls. And this one has been launched for 6 out towards mid-wicket. That's gone a long, long way. That's dropped just shy of the pizza shop out there, the temporary pizza shop.
That's into the wind as well, by the way.
Yes, of course it is.
And that's one high.
198 for 5. Whiteley on 46. This for a 16-ball half-century for Ross Whiteley, who really has come to the party for the first time, really, for Derbyshire in this T20 Blast. His highest score up to date was 11.
First game, first T20 back at the county ground for him as well.
Good spot, you see, that's why you're here. 198 for 5. Last ball, Stone in and bowls to Whiteley, who's carved this away. Is he going to go for 4? No, he's been caught in the deep. It's a real shame. It's not an anticlimax by any manner of means, though. 46 off 16 deliveries for Ross Whiteley as he's caught in the deep. And Derbyshire have finished on 198 for 5. That is a competitive total as far as I'm concerned. Ross Whiteley in the end caught by, come on the board, somebody will have to help me here, but he was caught out in the deep off the bowling of Ollie Stone. It was Ben Lister in the end who took the catch out there. It was a decent catch as well, because he was sliding around the boundary, wasn't he? And he could easily have allowed it to go under his body. In fact, if he'd have been sporting, he would have let it under his body. He decided not to. Brooke Guest finishes unbeaten on 32 from 27. 53 to Wayne Madsen earlier on. We saw Samit Patel get 16 from 12 as well, but that has been all about, in the closing stages, Ross Whiteley, eventually dismissed for 46, as Derbyshire make 198 for 5 in their 20 overs, and I think that is going to be a competitive total at doors.
What a time to be alive, eh?
Remarkable. At halfway, I couldn't see them getting anywhere near that. But
well, it was the early wickets, wasn't it? I mean, people got in, they got out, and then obviously Samit getting out, Tom, it was a bit of a blow, but I mean, Wayne Madsen got his head down, took, sort of runs all around the park, really, just batted sensibly after that flurry of wickets.
Yeah, I think, like we spoke about, Wayne's experience in the middle there, he managed the innings, he knew exactly when to go, which bowlers to target, and set it up nicely there with Brooke Guest throughout the middle, who played a nice anchor role, and set it up for Ross, who came in and played his role to perfection, really. That's exactly what he can do. It's what he's done for a long period of time, especially in T20 cricket. And it's great to see him come back to Derbyshire, first game at the county ground, and strike it like that. He was actually really unlucky to get out last ball.
He was.
Ollie Stone's bowled a brilliant wide Yorker, and he's slashed it out. He's timed it really well, but he's just hit it to deep third man almost, who's took a great diving catch on the boundary.
Such useful runs from Brooke Guest and from Ross Whiteley. When you've got your likes of Lloyd and Donald Fletcher getting out relatively cheaply, and then obviously we talked about Wayne Madsen and Samit. Didn't work out for him this time, but it might do with the ball. But Brooke Guest getting his head down as well, and Ross Whiteley, that is a hugely fast 46, isn't it? 16 balls.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Guesty's been Mr. Consistent for Derbyshire for a while now. Like Fletch said, he works incredibly hard, and he's held the innings together nicely and allowed Ross to come in at the end and put the sprinkling on the cake.
It's a big ask, though, 199 to win now for a team who've lost their first 3 matches, isn't it?
It is, and 81 runs from the last 6 overs. It's the kind of momentum that you can carry into your bowling innings. The bowlers would have been thinking at the halfway stage, blimey, we're going to have to be defending 160 here, and all of a sudden it's close to 200, which doesn't mean you can relax. It just means that if you do bowl the odd bad ball and it gets punished, it's not going to be as devastating as it might have been at the halfway stage, when it just looked a little bit iffy for me. I was slightly concerned at that stage. I don't know if you could tell from my voice, because I've seen I've seen this movie before, but I haven't seen Derbyshire get to this kind of total against Notts Outlaws before. And last time they beat them, they made 201. Well, they're only going to have, they're only, what, 3 runs shy of that. I think the omens are looking pretty good. I don't want to say anything else. I don't want to say anything else.
Right.
Turn me off.
Turn yourselves off. You go and have a much-needed break, and we'll hold the fort for a couple of minutes as the grounds team are out there in the square, lining the crease and rolling. The light roller is going on. The brushes are out, sweeping off the debris around the crease, as well as the stewards are standing around the square as well, just in case, again, anybody wants to just run on. You can't do that. It's illegal. It's not allowed. Let me run you through everything else that's going on this evening in the T20 Blast, and lots of games going on up and down the country, of course, as well as the Cricket World Cup, which is happening as well. In the South Group at Chelmsford, Glamorgan, 166 for 8 in their innings. Essex won the toss and decided to bowl. Gloucestershire, 124 they made in their 20 overs, and Hampshire in reply, they're already into their second innings. They're 32 for 3 in their reply. They need 93 from 91 balls in that one. And let's look at Canterbury, where Kent are playing Somerset in the South Group. 38 for 4 Kent in reply to 197 for 6 Somerset in their first innings. Lancashire are playing Birmingham Bears at Old Trafford this evening. I saw a picture online, actually, of them building the stage for 2 enormous rock concerts coming up at Old Trafford in the next week or so. I think Green Day was one of them. And people are moaning on Facebook about, oh, cricket ground, stage, blah, blah, blah. Traditionalism has gone. We know that. But they've got to survive, haven't they? 176 for 8 Lancashire in their innings. Birmingham 36 for 2 in reply after 4.5 overs. Leicestershire playing Durham this evening at Leicester. Leicester made 176 for 7. Durham in reply after 5 overs, 41 for 1. And Northants are playing Worcestershire. Northants won the toss, chose to bat, and they're 169 for 4 at the end of their 20 overs, so the innings break happening there. Back in the South Group, Sussex are playing Surrey. 213 Sussex made in their 20 overs. Some big runs there for Sussex. And let me just tell you who made the runs, if I can find it. Yes, it was Daniel Hughes made 65 from 43 balls, and Tom Alsop 68 from 35 balls, backed up by Nathan McAndrew, not out 29. 213 for 7 were Sussex against Surrey, and that's at the Oval as well. So it's not at Hove, and you're thinking, oh, 200 at Hove, dead easy. It's not, it's at the Oval. Well, I'm sure the boundaries are in, but still 200 in 20 overs is not a bad attempt, is it? So that is the rest of play this evening. They mentioned in commentary, didn't they, that England were playing Iceland in a friendly at Wembley, the football, and Iceland are leading by a goal to nil with 8 minutes to go before half-time. Right, we'll be back with you shortly for the second innings here at the County Ground. Derbyshire, 198 they made in their 20 overs, thanks to big runs from Wayne Madsen and Ross Whiteley's 46 off 16 balls towards the end. 198 for 6 they made, and we'll see what Notts can do very, very shortly. And then
That is a big shock, though, because Ireland, of
What, him
course...
playing against that?
No, because Ireland are full members now, of course.
yes, well, I thought that, yeah.
And Canada lost to the United States in their first match, so that's a huge blow to Ireland's hopes of progressing. I don't think they can now, really, having been thumped by India in their first game.
Yeah, absolutely. Tomorrow there are 4 games in the T20 Cricket World
Including
Cup.
the big one.
Including the big one, which is, of course, Netherlands against... Australia against England, which is 6 o'clock tomorrow evening, live on the BBC Sports website and app. Australia against England from Kingston Oval in Bridgetown in Barbados. Could still go. I mean, the weather's been rubbish there this week, so you might as well stay here in Barbados.
Yes.
Also tomorrow, or overnight, just after midnight, it's New Zealand, Afghanistan, 1:30 in the morning, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and then at 3:30 in the afternoon, it's the battle between Netherlands and South Africa. And there you go. And we have players, we have bowlers, we have umpires, and we have a white ball ready to knock a few sticks over. Dave Fletcher, Tom Wood, take it away.
Thank you, Ed Dawes. Yes, Joe Clark and Alex Hales. Darren DePavalon's going to bowl the first over from the city end. There is a slip in place, Wayne Madsen. There is also a man at extra cover. That's Samit Patel. It's where he likes to field. The 2 men out are on the backward point boundary and the square leg boundary. DePavalon is in as a caught behind first ball, and DePavalon strikes. Clark doesn't like it, but he's got to go. The finger went up from Steve O'Shaughnessy. DePavalon was absolutely convinced, almost as convinced as Tom Wood. Not 0 for 1.
Absolutely, what a start that is. There's that extra bounce with the new ball we saw in Derbyshire's first innings. Probably not the best ball DePavalon was looking to bowl, but he's found the edge of Joe Clark. That's a massive, massive, massive wicket. We spoke about early on that Notts are very top heavy with Clark and Hales, and if we can get them both out early doors, gets this inexperienced Notts team under pressure. They've already lost 3 games. What a start for Derbyshire.
I still don't like the quacking sound. I'm not a big fan. Joe Clark wasn't happy. In the same way that Cam Fletcher didn't think he'd hit the ball that got him out, so swings and roundabouts and all that, and you have to take it once the umpire makes a decision. And Steve O'Shaughnessy stuck the finger up. It was a rapid delivery, by the way. Brooke Guest was almost forced back by the pace of DePavalon, who can get up to 90 miles an hour, and certainly did in the winter in the CA20 down in South Africa. 0 for 1. Nottinghamshire, and it's Will Young who has barely scored a run so far this season. I've said it out loud. I shouldn't have done. He's got 9 runs so far in 2 matches. In comes DePavalon and bowls to him, and he tries to pull him and does pull him into the leg side. Bit done for pace. He's bowling much shorter than he did in those first 3 overs that he bowled at Old Trafford at the weekend, which was his first appearance of the season, incidentally, for Derbyshire. He bowled full and quick at Old Trafford, but he rather fancies that this pitch might give him a bit of assistance, I think.
Absolutely. I think, like we spoke about, the pitch looks a little bit too pace, especially with that new ball, which makes his first 6 overs vitally important. If you can look to run in and hit the wicket hard on back of a length, you'll get that extra little bit of uneven bounce, whether it bounces through a bit more, shoots a bit low. Derbyshire have got a second slip in to Alex Hales. They're really aggressive, trying to get him out early doors.
DePavalon bowls and it's driven into the ground. Crowd catch. Samit plays along with them by threatening to throw the ball in the air. It was played into the ground by Alex Hales and nicely fielded by Samit Patel at extra cover. The crowd thought for a moment that all their dreams had come true and Hales and Clark had both gone inside the first 3 deliveries, but we knew they hadn't. But they've dispensed with the second slip now. It's Mitch Wagstaff. He's gone back to short third man. It's going to be something special to stop a ball there. At the pace that DePavalon's bowling as well. Here comes the South African and bowls to Hales, who bounces it down to Mitch Wagstaff. Yes, but I wasn't thinking of that kind of shot, Woody. I was thinking of the one where he smashes it. Wayne Madsen took a catch when the ball was smashed to him. In that kind of position, he's having a bit of a laugh and a joke now with Mitch Wagstaff, but a dot ball nonetheless, 1 for 1. They only need another 198 to win, Notts.
Yeah, Alex Hales is a massive piece of this puzzle now for Derbyshire. If they can get him out early, it puts massive pressure on the rest of the Nottinghamshire batters. He's so destructive, especially in T20 cricket. It's important to try and attack him, try and get him out early doors. Don't just be defensive. You've got to be positive and try and get him out.
Pavlon bowls, Germany cracks that one away, out towards backward point. Ross Whiteley's there. They'll only get a single for it. And Hales off the mark. 2 for 1 Notts in the first over of their reply to Derbyshire's 198 for 6. Yes, if you're just tuning in, you are hearing correctly. 198 for 6. They haven't beaten the Outlaws since 2015, June the 26th, 2015, the last time Derbyshire beat Notts in a T20. It is a remarkable record. And here comes Pavlon to bowl the final ball of the first over. It's short and wide. It's been cut away by Young out towards Ross Whiteley again. They go through for a single, and that is a pretty decent first over. 3 for 1. He got the wicket of Joe Clark, the first ball he bowled to him. Young has 2, Hales has 1. Good start for the Falcons.
Yeah, the perfect start they could have asked for to get Joe Clark out first ball. 3 runs from it. Zach Chappell opening the bowling now from the racecourse end against his former club.
Yes, one of those bowlers who they mopped up in the 2010s from all over the country. He came from Leicestershire. Yeah. Made his Leicestershire debut on this ground and scored 90-odd.
Yeah, first class. He's told me about that a few times.
Yes, I can imagine. He's very proud of it. And it's about time he broke it. Anyway, that's for another day. 3 for 1 the Notts Outlaws. It will be Will Young on strike. And here is Zach Chappell running away from us at the racecourse end. Bowls to Young, who just dabs that into the offside. Out goes, around goes an Aaron Donald to do the fielding.
Yeah, I think this wicket will suit Zach. He's big, he's tall. He'll be able to run in and hit the deck hard. And I think he'll probably get the most out of this uneven bounce with his height and his pace. And also, I think his slow ball will be good on this wicket as well with the extra bounce that he gets.
Interesting to see Mitch Wagstaff just windmilling the arms around.
Yeah, I'd not like...
No, I wouldn't.
I don't want to see him bowling the power play again, especially if Alex Hales is
Chappell bowls. No, he hasn't. He's played and missed at that one. 4 for 1.
Thought he nicked him off, Fletch.
Woody's turned into a fanboy next to me. What's going on?
Well, it's Derbyshire v Notts, isn't it? If you don't go up for this one.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm with you. Whew. Everybody calm down. 4 for 1.
Deep breaths, deep breaths. Don't get carried away.
Trying to remain professional at all times. Or as professional as we possibly can be. Chappell, just the 1 run conceded from his first 2 deliveries. He's on his way in to bowl. To Alex Hales, and Hales is beaten on the inside this time.
Bounce.
Yeah, beaten on the inside, wasn't he? On the inside edge of his bat this time. Kept a bit low. Brookes did really well to stop it, actually, because it also jagged down the leg side. And this pitch that Notts bowled first on might be their undoing, along with the Derbyshire bowlers. Sammit's just pointing out to the man down at... it's backward
Pat
point,
Brown,
isn't it?
Pat Brown, you bowling the next over, son.
From the city end. Jack Chappell's got 3 more deliveries to come.
Oh,
that one's been smoked out towards the cover boundary for 4 by Alex Hales. That is a very dismissive shot indeed from the former England man.
Incredibly dismissive. He's absolutely smashed that through the covers. He's hit that on the up. It's not a bad ball from Zach. If anything, maybe just a little bit wide and allowed Hales to swing the arms. And that he did. He's crunched that head high through the covers. It's hit the advertising boards before anybody's had a chance to move.
Oh, well, some shots. Zach Chappell and Pat Brown, the leading wicket takers for Derbyshire after 3 matches with 7 apiece. He's on his way in now, is Chappell, and bowls. That one is turned into the leg side by Hales. In off the boundary comes Ross Whiteley to do the fielding. Single taken. Hales moves to 6-9 for 1 with 1 ball of the second over remaining. Derbyshire, of course, lost a wicket in the first over as well, and at the same stage, after 1 over, we're also 3 for 1. So we shouldn't get overexcited at this early stage. I'm not sure Notts have got a Ross Whiteley coming in at, well, 8, 7. Here is Chappell again. That's turned into the leg side by Young. Maths was never my strong suit, and Manson does the fielding. End of the over, 2 gone, 10 for 1 after 2, 7 off that over, including that blistering strike for 4 runs from Alex Hales. He's got 6, Young has 4, and it is going to be Pat Brown to bowl from the City end. No, I was at school when this was out, I think.
Yeah, a little bit before my time. This
Yeah, all right, no need. But you're right, long way before your time, I would suggest. I'm fairly sure I watched the Eurovision Song Contest when they won it in about 1973. I was 10. This Pat Brown, dear oh dear. 10 for 1. Pat Brown then, City end, bowling to Will Young, who gets a slower delivery. And he
just bounced as well, didn't it?
Yeah, didn't it? It's great. I love watching Pat Brown bowl with a white ball in his hand. Yes, he'll go for the odd 6, but generally he has the upper hand over batsmen. Brooke Guest just showing how much that one died. He was waiting for it to come through, and the next thing is he's grovelling around on the floor trying to make sure that it doesn't go past him. The required rate, 10.5 runs already, as Pat Brown is in and bowls, and Young just turns that into the leg side. They'll think about 2 here. I'm not sure whether they'll take 2. They don't. It's a good sliding stop out there by Wayne Madsen, who is fielding potentially for the first time, second time this season. He didn't field in the innings, the second innings against Northamptonshire, from memory. I had to make notes, really. 11 for 1. Pat Brown turns at the top of his mark. That sun really is starting to set now, as you'd imagine it would, and this one is guided down to a short third man. Mitch Wagstaff does the fielding, and they go through for a single. Darren Dupavillon is coming across just to check out the top of his mark. Perhaps he's going to have a go from the racecourse end soon.
Well, I think they're probably going to have to find one more over in this power play from someone that is not Chappell, Brown and Dupavillon.
To keep them.
It's interesting to see who that will be.
Here's Brown in a bowls to Young, who goes for the pull shot, and he's through the shot way before the ball arrives. Another slightly slower. It's not just a slow ball and a normal pace ball and an effort ball. It's about 37 different slow balls with Pat Brown, isn't it?
Definitely. He's got multiple slower balls, whether it's a knuckle ball, off leg cutter.
It's almost not fair.
Variations.
Almost not fair. But then again, it's a batter's game, as you know, Woody.
Nah, it's hard work out there, Fletch.
Come on.
Not easy out there.
20 overs, closing your eyes and swinging the bat. Here's Brown in and bowls. That one tickles him up a little bit, and Brown races towards the ball. Young can't get a run off that one either, and we all know what happens when dot balls start to mount. Batsmen start to panic. He's just had a little look round to see the scoreboard as Will Young, 5 from 8, hasn't fired at all so far in this competition for the Outlaws, and will be desperate to do so here this evening when his side probably needs him as much as they ever have. 12 for 1, 1 ball of the third over to go. And Brown is in, bowls to Young, who lifts this out over towards, wide, long off for 4 runs. Greeted by silence, and that's what we want to hear. Samit Patel was calling for that. He doesn't want opposition's good shots to be applauded. He wants the opposition to feel intimidated when they come to the county ground. Greeted by silence, which is ruined by, 16 for 1 after 3.
Good start for Derbyshire, 16 for 1. Dupavillon coming on and bowling this 4th over. Maybe they won't go for someone else in the power play. Maybe they'll go for the big 3 to bowl 2 each and get them out the power play, and then use the extra bowlers, Samit, Waggy, in the middle as much as possible. It's the only other option without Lewis Rees in the team. Leaves you a little bit short of bowling options.
Dupavillon in and bowls. That one is guided out into the offside by Hales, straight to an Aaron Donald. And there is no run. Ross Whiteley potentially doesn't bowl much in first team T20 in recent seasons, but he's turned his arm over certainly for the 2s.
Yeah, I saw him warming up as well.
There are players out there who we know won't bowl. We're fairly certain that Wayne Madsen isn't going to turn his arm over, given his shoulder injury, and Aaron Donald never bowls. Don't know about Cam Fletcher. I don't think he bowls much either. Dupavilon is in. It bowls to Hales, who launches that out into the leg side. It's going to go for 4 as well because it's too far away from Whiteley, but that was a real heave from Alex Hales. He moves into double figures. He moves on to 11, 20 for 1.
Yeah, that's brute strength from Alex Hales there, using his feet down, disrupting the length of Dupavilon and just swatting it over mid-wicket. He didn't quite time it, but he got enough of it to muscle it for 4.
To the sound of DNA Loving You by Billy Gillies, my phone tells me. It's a song I'm not massively familiar with. Dupavilon. 8 deliveries, 1 for 7. He's in now, bowls a full delivery to Hales. It's a full toss on his pads, and he's flicked that away comfortably for 4 runs down to long leg. I was always going to end up going down there. That particular delivery from Darren Dupavilon, meat and drink really to a batsman of the quality of Alex Hales, in form or out of form. He's not going to miss out on those.
Yeah, I think he feels like he was under pressure there against Alex Hales. He's looking to really be positive against him, and he's gone to his main weapon, the Yorker there. Mickey spoke about in his pre-match, post-match interview at Old Trafford that Dupavilon didn't use his Yorker enough. He's gone for it there, but he's just missed a little bit full down leg side, and it's gone for 4.
24 for 1. Hales 15 off 11. Dupavilon bowls a short delivery too, and it's been signalled wide. It must have been down the leg side because it wasn't overhead height.
It's a bit harsh to me, Fletch, that. He's moved across as well.
Yeah, there's no leeway for bowlers. 25 for 1. Always disappointing. When you bowl, put all that effort into bowling a short delivery, it's a little bit off target, and now the long leg has come up to he's come up to the edge of the 30-yard circle. There is no name for that particular fielding position. The man has gone back onto the backward point boundary as Dupavilon, halfway through his second over, bowls to Hales, who lifts this up into the air. Mick, who's underneath this one? Fletcher is, and Fletcher takes the catch. Cam Fletcher has dismissed Alex Hales. Dupavilon has a second wicket, and Nottinghamshire are 25 for 2 halfway through the 4th over. Hales and Clark are both gone.
Yeah, that's huge for Derbyshire. The big 2 for Nottinghamshire, Clark and Hales. Hales was looking dangerous there. He started to put his foot down, but he's just been deceived by a slower ball from Dupavilon into the pitch. He's deceived him. He's gone through the shot, and he's just chipped it up to a simple catch for Cam Fletcher at mid-on. That is a massive wicket for Derbyshire.
25 for 2. Don't get excited yet, though. I'll tell you when to get excited at home, okay?
I'm excited, Fletch.
I know you're excited.
I'm excited.
I'm trying to keep a lid on it on this side of the commentary box. 25 for 2. Young, a run of ball 9. Just waiting to see who the new batter is. I assume it's Jack Haynes.
Yeah.
So Haynes comes out to join Young. One wearing 30, one wearing 32, and Clark, who wears 33, is already gone. These numbers are just ridiculous. What happened to 1 to 11? What did you wear, 24?
Correct, yeah, 24.
What a memory.
Kobe Bryant.
Ah. There's usually a story. Dupavilon then, 2 balls of his second over to go. 2 for 12. His figures at the moment. His tail is up, and he's in to bowl to Haynes, who pushes this one out into the offside. They're going to go through for a quick single. It's direct. It would have had him. It was an Aaron Donald with the throw. It must have missed by fractions because there's a lot of fielders with their hands on their heads out there. He scampers through, gets off the mark, does Haynes. 26 for 2, but if that had hit, I rather fancy.
Pandemonium if that would have hit. We've been chasing after an iron around the ground. We've been in lap of honour if that would have hit, I reckon.
He's a character. And if you...
One more in this power play, Fletch. 3 in the power play, you know what that means?
We all know what that means.
We all know
what that means, absolutely. Here comes Dupavilon into bowl to Young, who hits this out into the offside, straight to an Aaron Donald on this occasion, and what a good over that was from Darren Dupavilon. 10 runs from it, but he's picked up the wicket of Alex Hales. 26 for 2 after 4. Derbyshire were 29 for 1 at the same stage, but more importantly, you look at Duckworth Lewis. They should be into the 40s by now. They're 26 for 2.
Looks like they are going with the big three in this power play. Pat Brown on again to bowl the fifth, and then imagine Zach Chappell's going to come at the other end and bowl the sixth. I think that's the best way to go. This power play is so important. You've got to use your best bowlers as much as possible to try and limit the damage and keep trying to take wickets. You've got Nottinghamshire under the pump, 26 for 2, chasing 200. Keep your foot on the throat now. Don't let them off. Be aggressive. Bowl your best bowlers. Try and get them out.
Here he comes then, Pat Brown bowling to Haynes, who clips that around the corner. That's going to be 4 runs. It was it was on his hips as well, wasn't it? It was there to be played, that shot, and he obliged and picks up 4 down to long leg. As Notts move on to 34-2. Haynes moves on to 5, but the big 2 have already gone. If you'd nipped off for a cup of tea and you come back and you're wondering where Joe Clark and Alex Hales are, well, Darren Dupavilan has seen them off. And Notts chasing 199 to win a 30 for 2 in the 5th over. Here comes Pat Brown in to bowl to Haynes. That one's down the leg side and will be signalled wide as it's taken moving to his left by Brooke Guest. And relax. I've seen so many of these. Well, I'll have seen 16 of these games near enough. And to not have seen Derbyshire beat Notts. Not to be able to look through that window to my left to see the Radio Nottingham team. Here is
Scrambling.
Brown in and bowls to Haynes. He's up on his toes and pushes it out into the offside, fielded by Samit Patel.
We've still got Samit to come on and bowl. It's his old team. These are the scenarios where Samit absolutely loves it. To come on, big score on the board, early wicket, so he can come on outside of the power play and really strangle the life out of the middle order and put them under pressure. He'll be letting them know as well, I can promise you that. He will be letting these Notts boys know.
Here comes Brown, bowls to Haynes, who pushes the ball up to mid-off, and there's no run there either, as it's picked up by Zach Chappell. Durham, well, it might win a game of T20 cricket. Leicestershire 176 for 7. Durham 114 for 1 after 13 overs. They actually need 63 from 42 balls, but with 9 wickets in hand, you would say that they had every chance of winning a game of T20 cricket. I'm not sure Martin Emerson will be able to remember how to commentate on one. Worcestershire 30 for 1. They need another 140 from 93 against Northamptonshire. Here comes Pat Brown in and bowls, and that one is just tucked into the leg side, picked up by David Lloyd? No, Cam Fletcher. Where's David Lloyd then? Where is he? There he is. He's at cover. He's been fielding at mid-on a lot, but that's clearly Cam Fletcher's position. Another game in the North Group. Birmingham in a spot of bother. They're chasing 177 to beat Lancashire. They're 85 for 4 after 12 overs. They need 92 from 49 balls. Here comes Pat Brown then. 32 for 2, I beg your pardon. Notts Outlaws. This one is into the air. Is it going to be a catch for David Lloyd? It is a catch for David Lloyd. And Young goes for 9. Wow. They're 3 down now, Notts. They're 32 for 3, and we're only in the 5th over. That was a fine catch from Lloyd as well.
Yeah, it was. They're always difficult. Running back over your shoulder, lights on, big pressure catch. Really, really good catch, and it's a massive wicket again for Derbyshire. 32 for 3, 3 wickets in the power play. Samit Patel to come and bowl his 4 overs. Excellent start for Derbyshire. They couldn't have asked for much more than this so far.
Absolutely not. 9 from 12, 11 deliveries. Will Young 1-4, and his disappointing trot as the overseas player, and that will start to get to him. It has to, doesn't it? You've been brought over to this country to make a difference in a T20 competition, and you've had a whole string of low scores and low-ish scores. In the same way that it made Ross Whiteley's innings even more remarkable, really, 46 off 16, because he could barely buy a run in the first 3 matches of the season. Correspondent Joe says that's a great catch. He's absolutely right. Here comes Pat Brown then, final ball of his second over to the new batter, who's Matt Montgomery, who gets off the mark straight away with the boundary down towards a wide third man. Pat Brown will be a little bit disappointed to have conceded a boundary off the final ball, but in all honesty, to have got that wicket, 10 off it, 36 for 3, Derbyshire in the box seat, you have to say.
Well, Dupavilan's coming again.
Wow. So
3 in the power play.
Yeah, he'll have bowled 3 in the power play, so they're going to keep 2 from Pat Brown and 3 from Zach Chappell for the final 5 overs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right, I think Chappie will bowl 1 in the middle. He'll bowl 2 at the end. Brown will bowl 2 at the end.
2 for 13 from 2, though. When his tail is up, he's having the game of his time so far here at Derbyshire. And the first ball that he bowls to Haynes is pushed out into the offside and fielded by Samit Patel. It sort of makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Darren,
definitely.
you've got a couple of wickets. Just go on and get us a third. Just keep this one nice and tight at the end of the power play. 36 for 3. Derbyshire at the end of the power play were 47 for 3. So not a huge difference.
Yeah, it goes to the point we spoke about in the first innings as well in terms of bowlers back-to-back in the power play, and captains tend not to do it, but when someone's got the tail up and they're taking wickets, let them go. Keep going.
He's bowled him! And he has a third wicket, Darren Dupabalon. Haynes goes, bowled by Dupabalon for 6. A 4th wicket in the power play. Notts Outlaws, they're in disarray. 36 for 4.
They are, and this is exactly why they've bowled Dupabalon on his 3rd over. As we said, he's got his tail up, he's already got 2 wickets. They want to keep the foot on the throat and not let Nottinghamshire get away. They've brought the main man back for his 3rd over in a row, and he's done exactly what they've asked him to do. Get that 4th wicket, 36 for 4. As Fletch rightly said, Notts are in disarray.
Tatters, absolute tatters, Notts. It's remarkable. And even those who are wearing Notts gear in the media centre can't summon a smile. Anyway, 36 for 4. Calm down, everybody. I can't calm down. This is absolute madness. This is a Derbyshire side essentially outplaying a Nottinghamshire side. Yes, a Nottinghamshire side that came in with 3 defeats from 3 matches, but their first win isn't far away. Everybody knows that. And Tom Moores, the coach's son, comes in to bat. Just saying. 36 for 4. Don't snigger like that. Here comes Dupabalon then. 3 for 13. Remarkable. He's in. He bowls 2 Moores, who dabs that into the offside. He wants to get off strike as quick as he possibly can. A direct hit there from an Aaron Donald might have been interesting, but they have scampered through for a single. Moores is off the mark. 37 for 4, with 3 deliveries of the power play still to be bowled. I can't read that message out. Genuinely, I can't read that message out because I get sacked. And nobody wants, well, I say nobody wants that. I'm not entirely sure there is nobody who wants that. 5 for 20 is best figures in T20 cricket, Darren Dupabalon. So he's got 3 deliveries to get 2 more wickets and improve those figures if he can. This one is turned into the leg side by Montgomery, who picked up a boundary off his first delivery. There was a little bit of a misfield there by
unbelievable
Ross
throw.
Whiteley. Oh, yeah. You
You're not going to take that
No, you wouldn't take it. The same with Pat Brown. Pat Brown, quick bowlers, never used to be able to field. And all of a sudden, he fields on the boundary and he can hurl a ball flat to the wicket-keeper like that in a split second. I mean, it's remarkable. 38 for 4.
Ross and Pat Brown, they're not only brilliant at the skill set they do, batting and bowling respectively, they're both brilliant fielders in the outfield.
Here's Dupabalon in and bowls 2 Moores, who defends that one. Samit picks it up with his left hand nonchalantly. And there is no run. It remains 38 for 4 as we approach the final ball of the Notts Outlaws power play. We know what happens when you lose 3 wickets. It's probably worse when you lose 4. Mitch Wagstaff warming up.
Impossible.
Well, no, don't go there. There are people recording this kind of thing. There's a security guard walking right across the sight screen down below us, completely oblivious, as Darren Dupabalon gives him a shout and says, "Come on, son. I want to bowl me the final ball of the 3rd over here." 38 for 4, and he's going to on his way in now to bowl to Moores, and Moores gets a full delivery that he digs out and pushes up to Mitch Wagstaff. It's the end of the over. De Pavel 3 overs, 3 for 15, 38 for 4 at the end of the over. Just 2 runs off the final over of the power play. At the same stage, Derbyshire were 47 for 3. Duckworth Lewis says Notts should be in the 70s. This is rapidly turning into one of the great nights at the county ground, and we are going to see the leg spin or off spin, but I'm fairly sure it'll be leg spin.
He might go off spin to Tom Moores being left-handed, but
I'm not sure he will. I'm genuinely not sure that he will. I'll perhaps tell you why later. That was a leggy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That he practiced, yeah. It's difficult to tell now that the lights are taking over. I can tell you what's going on out there.
Montgomery is a good player. Has been similar style, I'll say, to Wayne. He likes his reverse sweeps, his normal sweeps. So we'll look to see what he goes to here.
Wagstaff bowls, and it's driven out into the offside, and there's Wayne Madsen with the fielding.
Diving around.
Yes. He played in that game in 2015, Wayne Madsen. Samet played, Alex Hales played, and they're the only 3 of the 2 sides who remain. In comes, oh, that's a horrible half-tracker, and it's clouted away. Pat Brown, what a piece of fielding that is. Absolutely brilliant. Out on the leg side, sweeping. Magnificent Pat Brown. Keeps them down to a single. 39 for 4. Montgomery has 6. Moores has 1. He did fire that one in a bit. It was also halfway down.
Ball a little bit shorter than he was intending, but I think when you bowl it at that pace, you can get away with it a little bit more than if he was bowling his loopy leg spinners that halfway down.
Here he comes again. Bowls. That's a better looking delivery, but it's hit away for 1 more by Moores. They're thinking about 2. That's Ross Whiteley.
No chance.
No, absolutely no chance as the ball is thrown
Hurts
in.
my shoulder watching him throw that like that.
You know, the saddest thing, well, no, there are many sad things about getting old, but your throw goes.
Well, my throw's been going for the last 2 years, Fletch. It makes horrible noise. My shoulder.
Wagstaff bowls clipped into the leg side by Montgomery. 3 fielders descend on the ball. It's actually picked up by Du Pavillon. Montgomery moves to 7, 41 for 4. Yeah, if I was out there and somebody said, can you throw me that ball, it would have to be underarm, because I'd make an absolute fool of myself overarm. As Wagstaff's into Moores, who cuts that away out towards Brown again.
Oh,
it just bobbles and hits him in the chest, and now he's going to throw the ball back in, but he's a bit annoyed that he was done by the pitch there. And then,
yeah, it's just bobbled on him like we spoke about before, and it's hit him straight in the ribs.
Throw back in almost does, but Guest as well, who does well just to readjust. And 43
Waggy
for
can
4.
just get out of this over, last ball, get out of it without a boundary, it'd be brilliant.
He hasn't. That one has been smashed for 6 out towards the East Midlands stand, and Moores moves into double figures. He's on 10. 49 for 4 at the end of 7 overs. There's the commentator's cursor right there.
It's a shame for Mitch. He's bowled his first 5 balls for 5, doing brilliantly. And that's maybe just the inexperience from the youngster there, bowling his need to try and get out of that over with as little damage as possible. Teams talk about getting in and out of your overs without going for a boundary, and he did brilliantly there the first 5 balls. It's just a shame he couldn't quite get out of that over. And here he comes now, Samit Patel. Perfect time for him. 4 wickets down, and he's on to come and squeeze the middle order. We're going to have to take risks against him as well, which is exactly what I want.
Yeah. Bob Ludlam's been in touch. The football's rubbish, even with the sound down. So our commentary and live feed, great with the beer, he says. Here's Samit round the wicket, bowling to Montgomery, who clips the first ball. The Derbyshire skipper bowls up towards an Aaron Donald long on, and they go through for a single. Apologies if you have tweeted and I've missed them. In fact, nobody has tweeted me, so I didn't have to worry. Here is Samit over the wicket, bowling to Moores, who plays the ball straight back to him. Samit fields with his right hand with a big smile on his face. 50 for 4 it remains. 7 overs and 2 balls have been bowled. He's in again, bowls to Moores, who heaves this into the leg side. There is cover out there in the shape of Pat Brown, who again almost got done by the pitch, or the outfield rather, but he picks it up with both hands. 51 for 4.
I think that's the area Tom Moores will be looking to target against both spinners. That slog sweep into the leg side and also down the ground is his strength against spin.
Montgomery just cuts that one out towards Pat Brown for another single, 52 for 4. Montgomery moves to 9, 3 runs off the over. So far, 2 deliveries to go, and he bowls it to Moores, who drives it down the ground. That's been hit very hard indeed in his 4 runs. It was very, very straight, just to the onside of the stumps at the non-striker's end. No chance for Mitch Wagstaff to get around and complete the fielding. 56 for 4. Moores moves to 15. Partnership 20 off 15. And Samit is in again to complete his first over.
That's spun and bounced.
It has done both of those things, and it was not taken cleanly, unfortunately, by Brooke Guest. Fortunately for him, it didn't take the edge. 56 for 4 after 8. Just the 7 runs off over number 8. The Falcons chucking T-shirts into the crowd. It's not Henry, it's Waj. I have no idea who he is, but he's doing a fine job. Mad as a fish out there. Look at him throwing him over his shoulder and everything. If indeed Falcons have shoulders. Mind you, he's throwing it with a wing, so he probably does have a shoulder. Are we going to see Zach Chappell from the City end? Which is, you said he bowled one in the middle overs. This is middle-ish. And they didn't want to expose Mitch Wagstaff to a second successive over, clearly after being hit for 6 off the final ball of his previous over.
Yeah, I don't think it's a great matchup for him against Tom Moores. He likes leg spin, he likes it spinning into him. So they've brought back Zach here to try and get a wicket. And I'm sure he'll save 2 for the back end of this innings. So it'll be interesting to see if they do go back to Wagstaff or if they'll try potentially Ross Whiteley or...
I can't see anybody else.
Maybe David Lloyd?
Oh.
Ooh.
Yes. Yeah. What would he bowl, medium pace or spin? He's bowled both. Single off the first ball, incidentally, of Zach Chappell's over. He's on his way in again. Montgomery scored that. Moore's on strike now, swing and a miss outside the off stump. Yeah.
I think Zach will get the most out of this wicket with his height. He's 6'6". He bowls it quick. If anyone's going to extract that uneven bounce, I think it will be him.
Yes. 57 for 4 it remains. DLS says they should have been on 89 by now. That's because they've lost those 4 wickets. Very, very damaging under DLS. In comes Chappell again and bowls a shortish delivery. It's just tickled down towards fine leg. Wayne Madsen's here. They don't even take on Wayne Madsen's arm, which is one of the arms that you possibly could, and that's with the greatest of respect. He hasn't got the strongest arm. He's a magnificent fielder still at the age of 40. Throwing the ball in from the boundary isn't really his thing. 58 for 4. Apologies to the Madsen family if you're listening, but you know what I mean. Moores moves on to 16.
He has had shoulder surgery to the effect.
Yes, indeed, absolutely. It's short delivery. Oh, it's clothed into the leg side. Now then, Aaron Donald's run all the way around that one. It might go all the way to the boundary. No, he keeps it in just. They've run 2. Are they going to come back for the 3rd? No, they're not, because Pat Brown has gone round to help out Aaron Donald. He seemed to run round that one.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
And then it sort of got away from him.
It a fraction, but he did well to catch up with it in the end.
2 more to the total. 60 for 4. Montgomery moves to 12. Not sure what the hi-ho is all about. Does it have a special meaning with the old hi-ho thing? I don't understand
that I'm aware of.
No, me neither. Zach Chappell in and bowls to Montgomery. That one's clocked into the leg side again. This time it's towards Pat Brown, and they don't take on his arm, which means that they're restricted to just the 1. Montgomery moves to 13, 61 for 4, and without jinxing it, and I can't jinx it anyway, it's a lot of old nonsense. Again, the ground fielding has been very, very good. That has been a real mark of this Derbyshire side this season. Whether they've won or lost, the ground fielding has always been good.
Right, such a massive part in the game in T20 cricket. If you save every single run, every ball's an event.
Chappell.
Save as many runs as possible in the field.
Next delivery to Moores is clipped into the leg side for a single. It was the final ball of Zach Chappell's 2nd over. 2 overs for 13 now. 62 for 4 after 9 overs, which means they scored 6 runs off that one. At the same stage, Derbyshire was 69
Ross Whiteley as
for
well.
3. Is it? Now then, he hasn't bowled yet this season, Ross Whiteley, so this is interesting. As I say, he has bowled with decent effect in the 2s, but hasn't had a single bowl in the Blast so far this season. I'm hoping that's right.
No, that's spot on, Fletch.
Yeah, I haven't seen him bowl, I was sure of it. Left arm option as well, of course. So just something a little bit different for Tom Moores to think about here. 62 for 4. Ross.
Tom Moores will be coming hard at this over.
Whiteley is in, and Moores goes for the big shot. It's a call for leg before wicket, and Whiteley strikes with his first delivery. He took time to think about it, Jack Chantry. Moores isn't happy at all. The leg before wicket is given though by the umpire. Moores goes for 17 knots, 62 for 5.
Yeah, Ross Whiteley comes in. He is the man of the moment today. Outstanding finish to Derbyshire's innings with the bat. And first ball, like Fletch rightly said, not bowled in the competition so far, and he gets a big wicket with his very first ball in the competition. Looked like a little bit of a slower ball, just deceived Tom Moores a little bit. He's gone for the big shot to the leg side, across the line, and it looked very tight to me from the commentary box.
Well, you'd given it.
As soon as it hit him, I thought
He took his time, didn't he, Jack Chantry? He had to think about it and then raised the finger, and Moores, while he stared back down the track at him, he's got to go and face Dad.
He's just chucked his helmet down.
Well, he's explaining to everybody, I've inside edged it. It was going over the top and down leg side as well. How on earth is he given that? And he'll have a look at the analyst's footage and find out that it was sitting in the middle stump. 62 for 5. Nottinghamshire hurtling towards a 4th successive defeat in the T20 Blast. Derbyshire, more importantly, are on their way, surely, to beating Nottinghamshire for the first time since 2015 in the Blast. 62 for 5. Lyndon James, the new batsman. Round the wicket comes Whiteley. That's driven straight to Samit Patel. If the ball goes anywhere near him, it's not getting past him, is it?
No,
he's got lightning reflexes.
He has, yeah. He's been brilliant at extra cover today. Not just in the field, but he's been really animated. You can tell he's really up for this, and he's letting the Nottinghamshire batters know how far behind the game they are.
They're a long, long way behind. Whiteley in, bowls to Lyndon James, who reaches for that one outside the off stump. Drives it away to Pat Brown, who fumbles initially, but they don't take on the arm, and quite right too, because he's a really good arm. He's not happy feeling out there at all.
That outfield out there, that bobbly outfield there in front of the pavilion.
He took a catch last season playing for Worcestershire out there in that kind of area. It was Wayne Madsen who he got out. It was a magnificent catch, and we knew then that he was. I think we'd had an inkling that he was coming. It was the game that ultimately denied Derbyshire a place in the quarter-finals. If they'd have beaten Worcestershire, they'd have gone through instead of them.
Yeah.
And they didn't perform on the day, and that was the side that Samit Patel wanted to get rid of, and he seems to have done it. Whiteley is in, and that one is wide again, and it's just tapped into the offside by Montgomery for a single. 64 for 5. Now, 2 balls to go. Ross Whiteley has conceded just a couple of runs. He's taken a wicket. This has been a magnificent introduction to the T20 Blast for Ross Whiteley.
Welcome back to the county ground, Ross. Everything he touches turn into gold this evening.
46 off 16 deliveries to take Derbyshire up to 198 for 6 out off the final ball of the innings, and now 1 for 2 off 4 deliveries. Whiteley around the wicket to bowl to James, who lifts that over the men standing on the edge of the circle. It's going to be chased down eventually. They come back for 2. It's David Lloyd who throws the ball in. Who was that? Was it Pavlon who sort of got his feet in a bit of a mess? Yeah, got his feet in a bit tangled up a bit, and they do come back for 2 more. James moves to 3, 66 for 5.
Yeah, I think Ross deceived him there with a wide slower ball. It just seemed to do him for pace, and he ended up just looping it over point.
Final ball of the first half of the innings.
Slowly as well.
Unfortunately, it'll have to be bowled again. 67 for 5 as it's a wide down the leg side. The required rate is up to 13. Always good to see it going up to 13 when it starts climbing even further after good overs like this one.
Just needs to get out of this over, Ross. 5 balls, 5 runs, get out of this one. No damage.
In and bowls to James. That's another wide, this time outside the off stump. So he slightly overcompensated from the previous delivery. 6 runs conceded from his first 5 deliveries now with the 2 wides. A couple of singles and a 2 as well, but a wicket with the first ball of the over to get rid of Tom Moores for 17. Here's Whiteley in and bowls to Lyndon James, who drives it down the ground. Mitch Wagstaff is there. Ross Whiteley turns and collects his cap from Jack Chantry. At the halfway stage, Nottinghamshire are 69 for 5. Derbyshire were 76 for 4, so they're in a bit of trouble themselves, but it just feels like Nottinghamshire are in slightly more trouble with Calvin Harrison, Ollie Stone, Dylan Pennington and Ben Lister still to come.
Absolutely, yeah. They don't have Wayne Madsen in still, do they? And the likes of Ross Whiteley to come.
Happy days.
And Samit Patel's back on.
Of course he is.
At the City end.
Keep him away.
That's a great shot.
Yes, it is, isn't it? Out towards
bit
the...
full outside the off stump, and Lyndon James has played a brilliant cover drive.
Cover drive. I've got the wrong end. I didn't see the shot. I shouldn't have even commented on it. You carry on. 73 for 5. I'm just getting a bit giddy.
I think we all are.
Light-headed. Samit to bowl to Lyndon James, who has a
spun and bounced as well.
Swing and a miss outside the off stump. Good comeback from Samit after being hit for 4 the previous delivery. In between the stumps and the umpire, bowls slightly quicker delivery. Can do nothing with that one. Lyndon James pushes it straight back to the Derbyshire skipper. 73 for 5. It remains. And he's in once more. It didn't take long to get through his overs either, Samit. That one is cut away, but straight to Mitch Wagstaff, a backward point. Zach Chappell's warming up again, or just keeping himself warm. Has a look round at the scoreboard, which will tell him it's 73 for 5 with 2 balls of the 11th over to go. In comes Samit and bowls. That one is driven along the ground, out to Ross Whiteley on the cover boundary. Single is taken. James moves to 9, 74 for 5. 1 ball to go. 5 off the over so far. He's in again, Samit, and that one is driven down the ground out towards an Aaron Donald in the far distance, and they go through for a single. Montgomery 15, James 9, 75 for 5 knots, which means there were 6 runs off that over.
Ross is coming again by the looks of it.
Well, keep him off. Keep him off. I think this makes sense. He's picked up a wicket. He's sort of into his rhythm, despite those couple of wides towards the end of the last over. It protects Mitch Wagstaff as well, who's done really, really well, as we were talking to Wayne Madsen on Sports In at 6 last night. Ed Dawes and myself having a chat with Wayne, talking about how well Mitch Wagstaff's taken to this thing. Here's Whiteley in and bowls. That's the leading edge and goes over the head of Ross Whiteley. Montgomery will pick up a fortunate single out to the aforementioned Mitch Wagstaff. Moves to 16, 76 for 5. But to say he's got limited experience, bit of List A, bit of first class, not played senior T20 cricket before this season, Mitch Wagstaff, and chucked into the mix. He's done really, really well. Here's Whiteley around the wicket bowling, and that's driven into the ground, or was it into the ground, and past Ross Whiteley. And James picks up a single.
Diving stop to try and get that. I thought he was going to get that.
I didn't. 77 for 5. James moves on to 10. You can almost feel the excitement, or is that just me? Everybody is watching. There are thousands of eyes on this game, and there's a slower ball. What on earth was Montgomery trying to do there? He's just basically bunted it into the offside, but it's gone straight to Samit Patel, and they've gone through for a single.
Yeah, Whiteley really mixing it up with his slower balls here, and Montgomery, like you said, didn't have much of an idea with that one. It's just deceived him, stuck in the pitch.
Did well to get his bat on the ball in the end. 78 for 5. Whiteley's in again and bowls. This one's launched into the air. Is that going to go to Pat Brown? It isn't. He dives forward. They're the hardest to take. He threw the ball to Samit Patel, who was going to congratulate him. Threw it over Samit's head.
It's a great stop in the end. Great effort.
It was.
You'd rather see fielders in the outfield dive forward, go for it. Yeah, try and catch it rather than sit back and stand off it.
79 for 5. The score moves on to Montgomery on strike. Whiteley bowls to him. That's a quicker ball. That's gone up in the air. Pat Brown's underneath this one. Out in the deep. Pat Brown takes the catch. It's a 6th. Montgomery's gone for 17. Notts a 79 for 6. And Derbyshire are absolutely steaming towards victory over the Outlaws for the first time in 9 years.
Yeah, Ross Whiteley, like we said earlier, can't keep him out of the game. If it's in the not with the bat in the first innings, in the field, and now with the ball, 2 wickets, nearly 2 overs for 11. Welcome back to the Incora County Ground.
I'm feeling more relaxed now. I was wondering where they'd get the overs from, because if you keep bowling Mitch Wagstaff and they do take to him, and he's a young man, it's difficult, isn't it? Ross Whiteley, with all the experience in the world, he'll have been in situations where batters are coming at him, and he knows what to do, he knows how to react, and it's a completely different proposition, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. Like I think we mentioned at half-time, Fletch, that I think Wagstaff would be the bowler that Notts would target. Like you said, he's not played much senior T20 cricket. He's a young lad bowling leg spin. It makes sense to try and go after him, but to have someone like Ross with the experience to come in
Harrison
and make up those overs is massive.
Sammy has a shot at the stumps and doesn't miss as Harrison set off for a single that was never there in a million years. And another fine over from Ross Whiteley. Calling it great might be over-egging it on the PA system, but he's bowled 2 overs, 2 for 11.
That's great. I'm giving it him.
You're giving it great?
100%. 2 overs, 2 for 11 in T20 cricket.
Yeah, it's all right.
Great.
So, at the end of the over, 79 for 6. He only conceded 4 runs off that over, and he picked up a wicket. And,
tough crowd you are, Fletch.
Oh, well, high standards, I like to think. High standards. Samit Patel to continue, bowls to Lyndon James, who pushes this up towards long on. In off the boundary comes an Aaron Donald. James moves to 12, 80 for 6. Calvin Harrison to face his second delivery since arriving out in the middle to replace Matt Montgomery. And Samit bowls to him, and it's off on edge.
Down, Chappie.
And that's a fine piece of fielding.
Sliding tackle, get him in the Euros.
He might have hurt himself there, Zach Chappell. You've got to be careful trying to stop a ball with your feet. It's we used to see in the olden days, fast bowlers always use their feet, didn't they? Here comes Samit again.
It's a long way down for the big lad.
It is. That one is.
Funny that it hurts your feet when you try and stop a ball with them, Zach.
I think he was almost clutching a hip, which worried me, but he looks okay. He's just having to wander around and make sure he's loose. 82 for 6. Harrison on strike. Samit bowls to him, and it's defended straight back to him. Excellent over. Another excellent over from Samit Patel. 82 for 6. In comes Samit again and bowls, and that one is driven out into the offside, straight to Wayne Madsen by Harrison. He can't really lay bat on ball with any kind of anger at all.
This is where Samit's so good as well, bowling at new batsmen coming in. It makes it so difficult for them to score and get off the mark.
He's picked up another single there, but that's all he'll get. Pat Brown loses his cap as he gets to the ball and throws it in. End of the over. Harrison moves to 2, keeps the strike.
Ross is coming again. He's going for 3.
Well, he's great now.
Well, he's bowling great overs again and again, isn't he? So keep him going, keep him going. 4 in a row.
I mean, he's Samit bowled now. He's bowled 3 overs for 17. He hasn't got the wicket that I'm sure he will treasure for the rest of his days, but Ross Whiteley, 2 overs, 2 for 11. These two, it's very reminiscent of Alex Hughes and Matt Critchley in 19, as Whiteley is in around the wicket to bowl to Harrison, who drives, but straight to
Patel again. Nothing getting past him today.
They used to come on, those two came on after over number 6. They bowled 4 overs each. And
really?
Yeah, and absolutely strangled the life out of the opposition, and Derbyshire ended up going to finals day. It's a long way from that at this stage, but it will be a record of 2-2 if they can win this one. Whiteley bowls, it's played straight back to him by Harrison.
2 dots to start.
We have had 4 dot balls in the last 5 deliveries. 2 towards the end of Samit's over and 2 at the start of Ross Whiteley's. 17.5. Has anybody got those cigars? Where's those cigars? Here comes Whiteley again. Yet to concede a run this over. Bowls to Harrison. Just to the right of Samit Patel. It won't go for 4, will it? No, that's excellent work by Mitch Wagstaff down there away to our left-hand side. They come back for 2. 85 for 6.
Yeah, what is it that famous commentator would say? Start the car.
Start the car.
Start the car.
I need my own phrase, but I've never really had to use one. I've only been doing it 10 years. Here's Whiteley into bowl to Harrison, who has a swing and a miss outside the off stump. It's given wide very late by Jack Chantry, but having said that, he gave the leg before wicket very late as well. He does think about his decisions, Jack, and I'll let him off on this one occasion. He's such a nice man.
What could your saying be for when the game's over? Fletch, get the beers ready.
Yeah, that would be, this one is driven into the offside by Harrison. Samit Patel doesn't bend down to do the fielding, and as a result they go through for a single. 87 for 6. You're starting to get to know me. 87 for 6. And Whiteley with 2 balls of this over to go. He hasn't taken a wicket in this over yet, so he's been losing his great tag. He's in and bowls to Lyndon James, who drives it straight back at him. He dives to his right to stop it. It was into the ground and back towards Ross Whiteley, but it was a fine parry nonetheless and keeps them down to a single. 88 for 6. They need a further 111 to win at 18 runs and over. So they're going to have to get a move on here, Notts. Here comes Whiteley to complete his 3rd over, and that is hits the stumps. He hasn't got a flick on, and the batter at the non-striker's end was probably
if he gets a finger on that and runs him out of the non-striker's end.
I'll tell you what he's bowled there, though. He's bowled another very good over. 88 for 6, 5 off it. After 14 overs, Derbyshire were 117 for 4. Duckworth Lewis says that they're about 1,000 runs short of what they need to be. Derbyshire are going to win this one. I'm going to say it now.
To celebrate.
And I'm going to talk all over it if I possibly can. 18 and a half runs and over is what Notts need. And Samit Patel to bowl his final over. 3 overs for 17 so far. Samit comes in. That one is launched down the ground. Who's out there? Fletcher takes the catch. Moving away to his left-hand side.
Launched that.
Is it? Who? I thought it was Fletcher out there, but either way, the catch is taken. And Samit picks up the wicket that he wanted. You've ruined me commentary there, Woody. Absolutely destroyed me there. Doesn't matter though. Doesn't matter because they've got another wicket. They're 88 for 7 now, Notts. So it was a good catch as well because he was running around to his left, and when he threw it in, he's got some arm on him as well because he threw it almost down to the fine leg.
Took me by surprise. He was like, "Wow, he launched that." He was really celebrating with the crowd there. He was up for that.
All Fletchers can throw the ball a long way. I think we can safely say. Lyndon James goes for 14, incidentally. Serious head on now because this is getting to the point where Derbyshire are moving very close to breaking one of the worst records in cricket. Here is Samit bowling to Ollie Stone, who's the new batsman, and he whips that into the leg side. In off the boundary comes David Lloyd to do the fielding, and it moves on to 89 for 7. When I said Fletcher, I was guessing, which is something you should never do, but I haven't seen him for a while.
Educated guess, I think it's called, Fletch.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of you to say so. As Harrison picks up another single by pushing that one out to the cover boundary, moves on to 690 for 7. 3 balls of Samit Patel's spell to go. 1 for 19. He's in and bowls to Stone, who launches that down. It's gone high. It's gone very high, and it's gone into no man's land. Wayne Madsen couldn't get there. Ross Whiteley couldn't get in off the boundary. Initially, I thought it was going up towards Cam Fletcher, but it didn't, and he picks up another single. Harrison moves on to 6. 92 for 7. That one is bunted up towards long on for another single. Ball thrown in by Nairan Donald in the far distance. So final ball of Samit Patel's spell this evening. He's in and he bowls to Harrison, who clips that into the leg side out towards Pat Brown. It will only be a single, and Samit Patel completes 4 overs. 1 for 23. Notts, after 15, are 94 for 7. They need 21 and over. They're not going to get that. Derbyshire are going to beat Notts for the first time since 2015, sometime in the next, 12 20 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's writing's on the wall now. 94 for 7, and Ross Whiteley's coming on for his 4th over in a row.
Madness. What's going on here? He only conceded 6 off that one as well, Sammy. I mean, they haven't had a double figure over since over number 7, Notts. I mean, it's been complete domination. Whiteley in, and Harrison drives it up towards Donald, who's fielding down below us at long on. Whiteley bowling from the racecourse end. .95 for 7. And Lancashire have beaten Birmingham by 8 runs in the end, so it's a good effort from Birmingham to get up to 168 for 6. Durham have won a game of T20 cricket, everybody. This is not a drill. Whiteley bowls. That one is down the ground. He's underneath it. Mitch Wagstaff, who takes the catch, almost falls over in taking it. Ross Whiteley, remarkable. He has a 3rd. 3 for 17, his figures. Notts Outlaws, 95 for 8. Derbyshire on the brink.
Ross Whiteley continues to have a stellar night. 3 wickets now, 4 overs in a row. Nottinghamshire 95 for 8. The writing's on the wall. Start the tuk-tuk, get the beers ready, Fletch. Notts are in a shambles.
It's great, isn't it? I've had to wait 9 years for this, and you stroll in.
Well, let's be fair, I was part of the team most of the time when we kept losing to
well,
him.
There is that. I didn't want to mention that.
Yeah.
I didn't want to mention that. Dylan Pennington is the new batsman.
Mind being out there playing tonight,
8.
beating them.
Absolutely. Here we go then. Whiteley in to bowl to Pennington, who off his stumps pushes that up to mid-on, a wide mid-on. When it's fielded by an Aaron Donald, coming back for the second, the throw just didn't quite get there in time. Brooke Guest whipped off the bails, but Pennington was back. And they move on to 97 for 8. It was interesting. I was talking to somebody when they lost at Old Trafford, Derbyshire. That's like losing by an innings. What on earth is this? 102 runs to win, Notts, and they've only got 2 wickets left as Pennington slaps that one out into the offside. Pat Brown does the fielding, single taken, 98 for 8. The required rate for those interested is 23.3, which effectively means every ball between now and the end of the match, which is 4 overs and 2 balls, has to go to the boundary for Notts to win. I think we can safely say that's not going to happen. Whiteley on his way in, bowls, and that one is played out into the offside again, this time by Harrison, and another good piece of fielding by Pat Brown. He doesn't mind chucking himself about out there, which is good to see.
He's having a tough time out there. He's got a lot of work to do. It's very bobbly out there in front of the pavilion. He's had a lot to do, and he's just taking his jumper off. He's coming on to bowl now.
I think next home game he'll be asking to field in front of the scoreboard just in case it's any better. I don't think it is. Here's Whiteley, final ball of his remarkable spell. That's wide of the off
Brown again.
Brown will do the fielding. He's got his short sleeve top on now. He throws the ball in. There might be a chance for a run out here.
Oh, well,
Pennington just about got back. And Ross Whiteley, 4 overs, 3 for 23. And you add in 46 off 16, which included 5 sixes. He's had a good night, Ross Whiteley, in his first game back at the county ground playing T20 cricket since 2012. Remarkable. I didn't have him down as the bowling hero as well as the batting hero, I have to say. 101 for 8 at the end of the over, 7 runs from that, 4 overs to go. And here's Pat Brown. It's probably the last thing, the 2 words you least want to hear when you've got to score 24 and a half and over is coming on to bowl is Pat Brown.
Yeah, Pat Brown to bowl 2, Zach Chappell to bowl 2 and close this out for Derbyshire. I'd be surprised if it even gets to the 20th over, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, but yeah, bowl them out.
Bowl them out.
Bowl them out.
Get them out.
Come on. Here's Pat Brown
Send him back up the A52.
Setien bowling to Calvin Harrison, who clips that one into the leg side. But it won't be Pat Brown who fields because he's bowling. Who's that out there? It's it is Mitch Wagstaff out there. Darren Dupavilon is now down at long leg. 102 for 8. It's like a contented hum around the county ground at the moment as Samit Patel swaps places with I'm going to say Cam Fletcher.
Yeah.
And in comes Brown. Bowls a short delivery, and it's gone up in the air, and it's been caught by an Aaron Donald, and there's another wicket goes. Pennington out for 5, 102 for 9 now, Notts. 1 wicket away from what would be a remarkable, remarkable victory. Not only because it's been so long, but by the margin of it. It is insane. Pennington goes for 5, 102 for 8. Wow.
Yeah, this is what can happen when you're chasing big scores. You've got to keep going. There's no point rebuilding for 4 or 5 overs, playing it safe, trying to get up to 140, 150. If you're going to lose, you may as well lose and go down swinging and give yourself a chance. But what a sight for Derbyshire fans. It's been a long time coming.
Hasn't it just? Pat Brown 2 for 17. Ben Lister, good luck, is the new batsman. Good luck. The required rate is 26.4 runs an over. At the moment, the margin of victory will be 96 runs. That is an absolute thrashing. Here comes Pat Brown then, in to bowl to Ben Lister, who didn't like that at all. A short delivery, nasty delivery, and it hits some part of his body, and Pat Brown lets him know. He does let him know.
That was quick.
That was sharp and short and very, very accurate. Terrific.
There's another one on the way, pal.
Yeah, plenty more of those where that came from. Pat Brown, 2 for 17. Zach Chappell will be disappointed if he doesn't get on again, actually. 2 overs for 13. Darren Dupavlon's had a night out, 3 for 15. Ross Whiteley, 3 for 23. And here comes Pat Brown. In to bowl to Lister, and Lister lifts this one in the air, and Aaron Donald is underneath it, and Aaron Donald takes the catch, and Derbyshire have beaten Notts for the first time since 2015. A remarkable performance by the Falcons here at the county ground to win this one by 96 runs. Absolutely magnificent effort from the Derbyshire batters, the Derbyshire bowlers. The fielding has been exemplary. And 3 wickets apiece for Ross Whiteley and Darren Dupavlon, and then right at the end there, coming in with a couple of wickets of his own, Pat Brown as well. Wow, I never thought I'd see this day. It has been absolutely brilliant tonight. They were shaking at the end of the power play in the first innings. They were a little bit iffy at the halfway stage. But Wayne Madsen and then Ross Whiteley with that magnificent knock of 46 off 16 deliveries saw them reach 198 for 6. Joe Clark and Alex Hales went early, and then wickets tumbled on a regular basis as the bowlers set about their work. 3 for Ross Whiteley, as I say, 3 for Darren Dupavlon, a couple for Pat Brown, 1 for Samit Patel, and Derbyshire have won this one against the Outlaws by 96 runs and ended 9 years without a victory over those from the other end of the A52.
Never in doubt. Well done, Fletch. You deserve that after all of these performances over the years that you and I have witnessed as well. But what strikes me is that if you can set your stall out batting first, Tom Wood, you get some numbers on the board and you've got something to defend. I mean, you know, anything from 180 upwards, you've got something to bowl at. And this evening, you know, 198 is quite an exceptional score, but Derbyshire, so confident, so comprehensive in everything they've done.
Yeah, brilliant. Like you said, getting runs on the board is vital, especially playing at home. I feel like it's a massive advantage to bat first at home and get the opposition under pressure. And like you said, if you can, any time you score 180 in a T20 game, you're always in the box seat, in my opinion. Rightly so, Fletch said, from 10 overs out, Wayne Madsen, Brooke Guest, Ross Whiteley played absolutely outstandingly there to take Derbyshire up to what was an outstanding total, 198. And ever since the first ball of the innings, it couldn't have gone much better for Derbyshire. Joe Clark out first ball, 4 wickets in the power play, and just continued to take wickets throughout. It was a brilliant, brilliant performance, and I think it could be a big one, a catalyst for this tournament for Derbyshire, to really boost morale, show everybody what Derbyshire can do, and hopefully propel them on to more wins throughout the tournament.
I mean, we talked it up, didn't we, before the game, and Dave was like, just calm down, got to stop yourself. which is fair because you don't want to look ridiculous, but the performance in the field to back up that 198 on the board. We talked about catches being dropped in the Notts innings, not in the Derbyshire innings. They fielded so well. They took their catches. You could see what it meant. I mean, the catch down there by Cam Fletcher, when he hoyed it to the other end of the ground, he was so happy with it.
Yeah, of course. I think that's what can happen when you have such a strong finish to your first innings. When Ross comes out and plays the way he does, it changes the dynamic of the game. The momentum is all in Derbyshire's favour. The Derbyshire players are confident. They're up and about. They've just watched Ross smash it all over the ground. And then from the very first ball, everything has gone to plan for Derbyshire in that second innings. De Pavillon getting Clark out first ball, consistently taking wickets for out. Nottinghamshire was never ever in that game from the first ball of their innings.
Never let them have a partnership at all, did they?
Absolutely, and like we spoke about in the pre-match, it's important to try and, when teams are coming, they've not won a game, it's important not to give them the sniff, and Derbyshire did not do that one bit in that second innings. They kept the foot on the throat, they didn't let them breathe, and they've bowled them out for 102.
The great thing is to watch Fletch walk along the boundary rope there, and he's walking at a pace that I don't think I've seen in a very long time.
He's got a spring in his step, hasn't he, Fletch?
He really, really has. I've got to find which button he's talking through. Hold on, maybe that one. There he is.
Hello, Ed.
Hello. You've got a spring in your step, Dave. It's great to see.
Yeah, well, I've just realised I've not got my pass, so I'm trying to walk round and keep a low profile. I'm not sure that's going to be possible. Yeah, I mean, what a night. What a night. You've spoken about it already. Ross Whiteley with the runs, Ross Whiteley with the wickets, Darren de Pavillon comes to the party as well. Absolutely incredible performance, and I would have been just happy with a sneaky win. Who was it who said we're going to win comfortably? Somebody said it earlier to me today. I think it might have been David Griffin. I think he was joking, but he's got exactly what he wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. Dave is making his way over to the pavilion, where we will hear probably from Ross Whiteley, hopefully from Samit Patel. Somebody will come out and give us their reaction as the crowd is gathering around that area away to our left-hand side. Everyone else has filtered out. There's a few people around the bars and pizza and burger places away to our right. But it's been a fantastic, I know it's going to sound like a cliche, but it's been a fantastic night for cricket. A fantastic advert for T20 Blast for Derbyshire, and the fact that, you know, there is another tournament that Dave won't let me mention, but this is what it's all about for Derbyshire, because this is their bread and butter, this is the money maker.
Yeah, it is, of course. Friday nights, T20 cricket down at Derbyshire. Like you said, it's the one that brings in the big revenue, it brings in the crowds, and it's the entertainment factor for a lot of people. You'll always have your cricket stalwarts, your members who love the 4-day cricket as much as anything, but I think the practicality of the T20, the entertainment it brings, and ultimately the money that it brings shows how important it is, and it is absolutely vital to a club like Derbyshire as well. And I think that Derbyshire being able to do well in the T20 competition, to get a good vibe around the club and positivity, and towards the end of the tournament to be in contention for quarterfinals and finals day, it's massive for the club. It really does mean a lot to them.
Well, in a moment Dave's going to talk to Samit Patel, hopefully, who's just doing his presentation, and he'll probably have a little cheeky interview with Matt McGibbon on the mic here at the county ground. That kind of comprehensive all-round performance has got to be continued at Headingley. I mean, look at, actually, Dave, describe what's going on in the balcony now.
Well, there are players, some of whom didn't even play in the game this evening, enjoying it, and absolutely quite right. So I might try and grab Samit now, actually. He's going to have a chat with me now. Samit, we've waited a long, long time for that. You almost promised me when I spoke to you on Media Day that this would happen, and now it has happened. That is a great feeling.
Yeah, it is. We've worked tirelessly hard. We've worked hard, like, as a squad. We're getting better and better. We're playing some brave cricket, which we don't always see from a Derbyshire team. And I've literally, just the way we play our cricket, that's how we want to play. And it's just great to see Roscoe finishing that innings. We had all the momentum. Duppy getting a wicket first ball. It just couldn't have got any better, really.
And yeah, it looked a little bit sticky at the end of the power play, a little bit sticky at the halfway stage, but I can't imagine that you doubted it at any stage.
Not really. We played some good cricket. We had to play brave cricket. We knew that if we put a score on the board, we knew we'd put them under pressure, and yeah, that's what we did. And great innings by Mads, Guesty, just trying to get some impetus back really, so it's quite good.
Ross Whiteley with the ball, I mean, that's outrageous, isn't it?
See, Roscoe doesn't believe himself that he can bowl, but he can actually bowl, but he should take a lot of confidence out of that, because that's a great all-round performance from Roscoe.
And it's sort of set the standard now, of course. You know what we'll be doing when we go up to Headingley on Sunday. We'll be looking for another performance like that, and you will.
Absolutely, we've got to back it up now. We've got to go. We did say it's an important weekend. We said we wanted to go 3 from 5, and we're right in the mix.
Samit, thanks for talking to us. Samit Patel, the Derbyshire skipper, who has done what many thought was impossible and led a Derbyshire Falcons side to a very, very large victory against the Notts Outlaws. We will get a chance to speak to Ross Whiteley, but I think we'll have to speak to the PA first.
Yeah, I'm just watching you can see the fans are getting their signatures down there, and it's just a bit of a carnival atmosphere. And you know, some people might think, well, what's all the fuss about? It's just a game of cricket that they've won, but it isn't that, is it? It isn't that, Dave. It is beating your local rivals for the first time in a very long time, in any form of cricket, really.
Yeah, they had a win during the COVID season at Trent Bridge, and everybody thought Derbyshire had arrived. And that was a really bad thing, because they hadn't arrived.
No.
It was a good victory, don't get me wrong, and there were some very fine performances in it. But this is a real statement win, and as you heard Samit there, he's the most confident person I think I've ever spoken to in a Derbyshire top. He will expect them to do the same at Headingley on Sunday and for the rest of the tournament now. I just had a quick word with David Griffin, who says, well, this is a team that's got to get to finals day. Playing like that, we've never had anybody who strikes at 300, which is what Ross Whiteley did for 16 balls. Exactly what you need, exactly what was needed at the time. And then he comes on and bowls and picks up 3 wickets as well, and unsurprisingly walks away with a bottle of champagne.
Fantastic stuff. Tom, what do you think this will do to the dressing room?
Yeah, I think it'll absolutely galvanise the dressing room. Wins like this, Friday night at Derbyshire, full crowd, great performance, team performance, everybody involved. It really lifts morale in the changing rooms, and it'll give the team the confidence that they can come out and beat a team like Notts, who have historically been really, really competitive and won the T20 over the years. They can come out and put in performances like that. It will just show them what they are capable of, that they can beat the best teams in this tournament, and that they've got what it takes to go on and go far in this competition.
As Dave was mentioning there, Yorkshire Vikings at Headingley on Sunday. It's a 3 o'clock start, and it's live on BBC Radio Derby, of course. And then this time next week, it's Northants here at the county ground. And, you know, Northants have turned Derbyshire over already, but it's an opportunity. Now hopefully they found some confidence and found their mojo. They can sort of turn them over, and they've got a couple of big games at home, haven't they? After Yorkshire, Northants and Birmingham.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you can go to Derbyshire, Yorkshire and get a good result.
I'm just going to cut you off because Dave's going to talk to Ross Whiteley.
Yeah, I've got Ross Whiteley with me, who's just applauding the supporters after receiving, unsurprisingly, a bottle of champagne. That was some performance, some team performance, and I'm sure you'll want to pay tribute to your teammates, but let's just talk about you for a moment, Ross. You came out when we were looking at 170, 175 and striking at 300, got Derbyshire to a score that was always going to be tough to chase down.
Yeah, look, you know, that's my job. That's what I've been brought in here for. I've not fired to start, you know, the first 3 games, and I owe the team one. And you know, tonight was, you know, luckily my night for me. But yeah, like the boys set it up really well. We wanted 170. I think that was going to be a good score for us. And you know, momentum with a bit of partnerships in the middle just got us to, you know, touching 200. So,
talk to me about the flick off the pads for 6. That was a remarkable shot.
Yeah, it's instinct really, that one. I thought it was going to go wide, and he came straight. It could have been a different story, but got a bit of bat on it, so it was, you know, win-win for me.
And then Samit throws you the ball, and all of a sudden you're back in the game with a wicket with your first ball. You finish with 3. Did you expect a bowl tonight?
Absolutely not, no. Obviously, my first overs in the tournament. I'm always ready. You know, I always say to Samit, I'm there if you need me, and Tonight he pushed me a little bit far with 4 overs. I was blowing after 2, but you know, Samit demands a lot from his players, but he obviously puts the performances in, so we're all playing for him.
What will this do for the team? I mean, the confidence this must send through everybody will be huge.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, it's been tough games against Notts for the boys for many years. So, you know, this win, we really believed it tonight. The sort of atmosphere in the changing rooms before the game, the lead up all week's been really positive, and Samit's been awesome. He speaks so well. He's a real leader, so the boys are, you know, following him in that. So, you know, hopefully we go to Yorkshire on Sunday and keep the momentum going.
I said to Samit, just finally, this sets the standard now, doesn't it? He will be demanding the same performance from everybody in the remaining games starting at Headingley. Absolutely,
yeah. I mean, Samit's a winner. He's won pretty much most tournaments he's played in, so everybody respects what he says, and everybody knows he knows what he's talking about. So if he believes we can win and we've got the team to do that, you know, the boys are right behind him. You know, we've got a bit of experience now, among with some really exciting young players as well. So it's a great mix, and hopefully the momentum keeps going.
Congratulations tonight, well done.
Thank you, cheers.
Ross Whiteley speaking to us down here in front of the grandstand. I genuinely can't wait for Sunday now. I hate going to Headingley for many, many reasons. I can't wait.
You better set off then. Come back up here, Dave, unless you're going to find anybody else. Dave Fletcher down at pitch side, he might find somebody else. It's interesting, Tom, isn't it, that it was mentioned there, Samit Patel is a leader. Now, for every sporting environment or every team generally, whether it's in business or sport, sometimes somebody from the outside coming in and just having a different perspective, just different leadership, all that kind of thing, it does make a difference.
Yeah, of course. Similarly to what Ross said, Samit's a winner. He's had an outstanding career. He knows what he's talking about, so when he speaks, people will listen. And he's a natural leader. He's someone who he leads by example, in not only in his performances. So for him to come in and have that ultimate positive attitude, he's won tournaments before, he knows what it takes. When he speaks, people will listen.
Played for, lost for Notts, some big decisions to make for them in this year's T20 Blast. To me, it probably is a little bit too far for them to do anything now, especially as it seems like from their batting point of view there was quite a lot riding on the opening 2, and De Pavillon picked up Clark with the first ball of the innings, and then Hales, although he started to look like he got his mojo, but then he ended up being caught by Fletcher. So Derbyshire, just as you said, picked up wickets at the right time and nobody got comfortable.
Yeah, I think looking at that Notts batting lineup, like you said, very reliant on the top 2. Clark and Hales have been outstanding batters for a long period of time. Similarly to what we spoke about in the pre-match, Notts, especially the batting lineup, is not what it used to be.
No.
With the likes of Samit, who's obviously now at Derbyshire, Stephen Mullaney, Ben Duckett's not around. You've not got Dan Christian to come in and save the day at 7. You've got a lot more young lads, and the pressure is on them to succeed and do well, especially if Joe Clark and Alex Hales don't do well up top. They've lost 4 games in a row now. I think Sunday will be a big challenge for Derbyshire, going away from home at Headingley. It's a difficult place to go and play against, in my honest opinion, a better team than Nottinghamshire. I think Yorkshire will be a tougher challenge, and if Derbyshire can go there and put a similar performance in, there's no reason why they can't get the win there.
Let's run you through the scorecard of the day then. Derbyshire were asked to bat first by Notts, who won the toss, and they made 198 for 6. And Anarian Donald was the first one to go. He was the one that we were all looking forward to seeing in his first game for Derbyshire in the T20 Blast this season. He missed the first 3 due to concussion. And then, well, he didn't last long. He was out first ball that he faced. Derbyshire 3 for 1 at that point. David Lloyd, who opened the batting, made 22 before he was out, caught by James off the bowling of Ollie Stone. 44 for 2, then another wicket fell of just a few balls later, 3 balls later, and that was Cam Fletcher, another batter that we were looking forward to sort of coming in and showing what he could do. He actually made 19 from 14 balls, 45 for 3, became 73 for 4 as Samit Patel left for 16. And at that point, after 9 overs, 4 wickets down, you just thought, hey, somebody needs to get their head down here, and they did. It was Wayne Madsen who made 53 before being caught by Alex Hales, and he was the next man out. 140 for 5 at that point in the 16th over. And then Ross Whiteley came in, and he licked it to all parts. 46 from 16 balls, a really dominating innings. He was out just before the end, but Brooke Guest, of course, was the anchor in that, wasn't he? It was that partnership, and we talked about the partnership in the last over at Old Trafford on Sunday, I think it was. Saturday and Sunday tends to merge into one for me out of the football season, so I can never remember. But that innings at Old Trafford, that over went for 20, didn't it, or 19 or 20 in the last one. But Derbyshire's final stages, I think Dave read out a stat of how many runs came off the final 5 overs, and maybe he'll tell us when he comes back up. But Brooke Guest and Ross Whiteley just put them to the sword.
Yeah, definitely. I think the top 3 for Derbyshire have not quite fired in the first 4 games, and therefore it puts a lot of pressure on the likes of Madsen, Patel and Guest. Madsen's obviously the main man in that batting lineup, regardless of who's in it. He seems to perform consistently for Derbyshire. We know what Samit Patel can do, what he's capable of. Brooke Guest seems to be Mr. Consistent, Mr. Reliable for Derbyshire in the middle overs there. And if the people above him fire, we can see exactly what Ross is capable to do. So even though Derbyshire have put in a brilliant performance tonight, they've got 2 under on the board, I still think there is more to come from this batting lineup. The top 3 have yet to fire, and if a couple of them boys can get into form and put some performances in with the likes of Wayne Madsen, Samit Patel, Brooke Guest, and now Ross Whiteley in form, that is a brilliant sign for Derbyshire, and that therefore spells a very, very dangerous batting lineup.
We had Wayne Madsen on the show last night in Sports Scene at 6, and he was part of the At the Crease podcast for the game, the preview to this match. And he said that if they are going to beat Notts, they're going to have to step up, they're going to have to perform, and it's not just 1, it's 2, 3 players, bat and ball. And if you look at the Nottinghamshire innings, 3 bowlers came away with 3 wickets there. Pat Brown took 3 for 17 off.
When the batters put a big score on the board, because it means that